Okay, this is a slight addendum. I just wanted to mention two things. I just want to sum up two things. I was talking for 2 hours, over 2 hours. Sum up two things. One, I wanted to say that the idea is that if you already made it clear, but I just want to make it extra clear. Tell them what you want to tell them. What you want to tell them. Tell them what you told them. One, I was probably going to reverse order, but people think who have certain things, like they have a regular kind of middle class life. I'll start here, middle class life or whatever. They think, oh, because I kind of figured out certain things early in life, I'm more credible than you are. I have a car, I have kids, I have a house, I have a husband, blah blah blah. I'm more credible than you are because you've been going through all this stuff. And even if I have certain things, they're like, oh, you may have certain things, maybe a place to live, car, house, blah, blah, blah. But like on the continuum, like my house is better, my car is better, like woo, woo. And I didn't have to work that hard to get it because I figured it out early. So I'm still working hard. I still have a middle class. They may have made they may consider mistakes early in life, but whatever, they figured it out, whatever. So now they have they live in say they're living a certain kind of middle class lifestyle or whatever, but they think on the American dream scale, they think their life is a little bit better just on that kind of basic kind of traditional understanding. I don't want to say traditional, but that basic kind of middle class scale. So they think, well, they didn't have to work that hard. They may have made a few mistakes, but their life is stable. They have a few things like cars and basic things, and not that much drama. I don't know if it's drama or not, but not that many drawbacks or whatever. They don't have too many problems, I guess, in a general sense, like maybe health is whatever, blah blah blah. But it's like, oh, you but you're saying, but I lived a certain type of life, and I may have these good things, but what about all the other things that have happened in my life or whatever? So they're saying, well, maybe I have good things, and maybe I have 100 or whatever, and all the good things, but they're trying to make demerits for oh, you had this issue or that issue or whatever. What's the status? What kind of status of your car? Did you have any injuries? Blah blah blah. Any of those types of things, right? So they're saying they may if they live a say they may be 80 on the scale and I'm 100 on the scale, but it's saying things that happened in my life. I'm not saying they were mistakes or anything like that, but things that happened in my life, they're saying, that maybe it was 100 in terms of my books, my education, my talents, my skills, whatever, the condition, my heart, having a good heart, all that type of stuff. But it's oh, well, if you have all those things, they're saying well, maybe there was something, I don't know, they're trying to say the demerits or marks or whatever. So they're comparing their lives to my life and saying one for one. People on the outside looking in are trying to say, well, yeah, basically on your resume, you went to Harvard, blah, blah, blah. This is hypothetically speaking. This person saying they went to Harvard, blah, blah, blah. So that's better. But it's oh, well, I went here, here, and here. It's not actual schools. I'm just saying hypothetically speaking, right? We're looking on paper. And they're trying to compare my life to their life on the kind of basic scale, the basic middle class scale. And they're well, Antoinette, if you're so smart, if I'm so smart, Antoinette's so smart, Robert talking about in the third person, if you're so smart and you do all these things, it's good, the things you did, but does it, they're trying to take away points for things that happen. It wasn't mistakes, but they trying to take points away from people hating on me and shit. Oh, people hate on you, and if you're so smart, you were so strong, you were so blah blah blah, and your philosophy is so sound, people wouldn't have been able to do certain things that people may have considered a setup, so to speak. People may have considered if you were smart, you would have figured out. People would respect you more. People wouldn't people wouldn't whatever. People would respect you. You'd be more influential, have more persuasive, blah blah, have more money, blah blah, one for one. So even though you have all these talent, skills and stuff, there's something, and it's well, we access certain things earlier, so it was smart for us to figure it out. We figured out the church early, we figured out men early, and you it's they're saying I made it I'm saying patience is good and church is good. Well, whatever, being a patient person, whatever. Church is good on type of things. It's oh, well, if you're so smart, Antoinette, then, and all these things are working for you, then how come you're living this type of life? And then people, it's which way is that cut, right? It's I'm cool with my life. It's well, you're cool with your life, how high are your standards, right? Because there are a whole lot of things you can have in life, and if you're cool where you are, does that mean that you're just complacent? Does it mean you're selling, blah blah? No, it just means you live and you learn. Some things have function at age, move, I'm still young. I'm still a young woman, and some things are not tangible, right? Some things people, my confidence is something that's not tangible. My I know I'm not saying that people don't have confidence, whatever, but confidence in a different sense. My relationship with God. There's some things, people are oh, this is just motivational, religious stuff. No, it's true. Some things in life, that you can't see. Doesn't mean you aren't right. You can't see air, but without air, you wouldn't be able to breathe, right? You know what I mean? There are a lot of things that even though they aren't tangible or material in that sense, everything is kind of material. Everything is made up of atoms. Even air is made up of atoms and stuff. But but like it's chemical reactions or whatever. But like they're, because people can't, like, because people kind of look at things on a certain way or whatever. They think that like you are they think that like they figured it out better than you or whatever. And then sometimes they try to use your emotions, sometimes they use like things that are like typically objective standards, right? Most people want their health, and most people want like certain things, comfort, security, all those types of things, even though there's some people who live kind of on the outskirts and they have like different types of understandings or whatever. And it's like, oh well, if I'm saying, like, it's like the 80-20 rule, bitches, I don't know, but like, but like if I'm saying certain things and I'm content with my life, is it because of hope? Is it because of faith? Is it because of like what I like, my early accomplishments, my achievements, and those types of things? Is it because I know because I have my faith in God, right? My hope in God, because I know God has just just started in my unfinished work, whatever. This is church stuff. I'm not really like church in that way, but my religious belief is sincerely held, and I do, and God is good and God is faithful, right? But like I'm not like a Bible, what do they call it? Like Bible thumper? I don't really know what the word is, but like I believe in God. So that's one thing, right? So people think, and people on the outside will say, oh yeah, this is a more objective standard. Like she must be better, or whatever. This person must be better because they have, like, on an objective scale, they have these things, and so that's how most people think of life. And it's like, no, that's not how. I'm not saying those things aren't good. I'm not changing the narrative or anything like that. Those things are good, but I don't compare my life to other people. Like, come on, say you compare, but a little bit different. Like, it's not really about it's about, like, it's the bigger idea than that. But like in terms of like other people's stuff, no, because it's so strange. People can have stuff and like still, like, sometimes the grass is green on the other side. Sometimes people have stuff and that's not even what people, you live and you learn. Like sometimes people are like, they are like a person, like, why do people like rap music, right? Why do people like culture that is kind of birthed out of or created through hardship or circumstances? Why do people respect certain things? Some people respect swag, some people don't, but it doesn't mean swag is only among black people or only among like whatever, in a certain sense, right? It's called different things. Like there are movies about white people too, what about like certain people who represent certain things in certain movies? Like, I don't know, there's so many movies, right, that we like. I mean, I'm not saying I live by these movies or anything, but these are movies that, they like, Scarface and Al Pacino, and like some people, maybe Antonio Banderas and like Assassins and stuff like that, or Johnny Depp and Antonio Banderas and I forgot what the name of it was called. It was called Once Upon a Time in Mexico, I think that's what it was called. So they're like, it's like different type of things. And like, what was it? I forget the guy's name. Oh my gosh. And then like the James Bond movies. It's different types of street cred, right? So rappers do certain things, actors, actresses, models, like everybody kind of, you have your own kind of swag, your own kind of way of doing things, right? And then, you get the idea. But, so that's one thing, right? So people just assume that because like they think they know what I want, right? First of all, if they know what the objective standard is, anything they know what I want. So I think based on the objective standard and what I want, they assume that this is how I should think about life, right? Based on like how much of what the objective standard is that I accomplish, and how much of I accomplished of what I actually set out to accomplish. And people automatically think if somebody else accomplished those things, no, that's like, no, that has nothing to do with me. What they did in their lives, that's them, right? How they did it, what they did, if they did it right way, no, that's them. That has nothing to do with me. It's so hard for people to believe that I'm so emotionally mature and so like mentally mature, emotionally mature, whatever. So it's so hard for them to believe that I'm focused individually, right? I'm focused, that I'm not externally focused in that regard. I'm aware of what's going on around me, but I'm not like, but my faith and confidence is vertical, right? It's God to me, God to me. I am to God, God is to me. I am to God, God is to me. I am God, God is in me. It's His Spirit inhabits me. I am, the Holy Spirit, whatever. You get it. So, but like, I don't mean like people don't know what the Holy Spirit is, right? So I don't want to say that, because if you're not a Christian, you may not get it. And sometimes, like, it doesn't mean I'm not an individual, right? Probably shouldn't say I'm not really. I need to learn more about the Holy Spirit. I've been in church, the Holy Trinity, whatever. But I don't mean other people. I don't mean other people's energy. I don't mean that. Okay, let me just leave it there, because some people get it twisted, right? Because people will try to say credit for your work, and I never really understood that. Like, some people are like, oh yeah, they mad because like they're like, well, I did this. No, bitch, you didn't. It's just that simple. None of these other people did anything anything. Like if I came up, that's a lot of people. People are like, they get mad or whatever. They're like, oh, they were like, you know, I could have been this and I could have been that and blah 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 blah. No, like, you know, if you could have been that, then be it. You know, and like for me, I'm good, right? But I just have an inward confidence, right? So I have an inward confidence, and it's again, people trying to like put onto me what they think, and then when I say something, people are like, well, whose interest, like who's more likely to like represent that interest? Who's more likely to like did someone write this somewhere, and then all of a sudden like you know, like just because like someone can catch, like someone can say something first doesn't mean they thought it originally, doesn't mean that other people didn't think it also, doesn't mean that people didn't think it in different places at different times at the same time. It doesn't mean it's not in the public domain, doesn't mean it's not fair use, and it doesn't mean like something's aren't functional age. Like if nobody ever, like would a child learn to walk, if nobody ever say, okay, grab your hands and walk with me across the living room to the couch? No, like a kid might, you know, learn how to walk. I don't know, Simba, Tarzan. Tarzan figured it out. Who knew? So, but like anyway, but like but like that's the one thing, and then the other thing is like I want to kind of keep it short, whatever. But like the other thing is so I just want to say that, right, because I guess it's hard to believe because like it's not even 80-20 just means like if you get 80% of the things that you want, most people are content with having 80% of the things that they want. Some people are outwardly focused. I'm not, because like anything you can do, I can do better. You know, you get it. So, but like, and even though people try to like say things to egg you on, like it's like they want to keep telling, like you want to, like you'll say something, and like because they're greedy or gluttons, they try to make you think like someone else, like to keep you competing, right? Keep you running like on a track, right? They're like, you know, they try to use reverse psychology, they try to make you think you fell short or whatever. A whole lot of stuff people try to use, like different types of like psychological bullshit or whatever. People try to say, like if I know I won the game, people will try to like say, oh, but so and so is coming up and so and so is thinking, like who gives a fuck what the fuck they think? Like nobody really gives a fuck. And like why are you like in the peanut gallery or in the bandwagon like trying to like egg a person on because you can't think for your fucking self, so you want to like try to make me feel some type of way, you know, so that I explain it to you, you know, you want me to explain everything, and it's like, well, there's an actual concluding point and there's actual natural, all this type of stuff, and it's like, well, when you get the right answer, you know, if you get the right answer and whatever. So like so I think that's it. If you're emotionally mature, because someone's like, oh, you're not, you know, prove you really strong. You know, jump off this building. You know, jump off this building. It's like, oh yeah, I'll jump off the building. I'm sorry, because it's just ridiculous. Like, you know, people just like people. I don't know. You know, people Fetty Waps on it's like ridiculous, right? But like, so people make different decisions, but like but like, I think that's the idea, right? Because it's like, how do I explain that I'm comfortable with myself, right? And that like if 90% of the world is jealous, how do you say that as like, well, I'm the only one individual in the world who's not jealous? People are like, how can she not be jealous? All other females like petty bitches. How come she's not one? You know, I don't think all other females are petty bitches, right? I'm just saying some people think that it's impossible for like a woman to be or for a woman to be like emotionally mature. And then the alternative, they may think other people can be, but it's like, no, Antoinette, no, she can't be. That's not possible. like as if I'm like not like, you know what I mean? That's the whole idea, right? They think it's not possible. It's like based on the things that happened in my life, they try to, and it's always just an age-old story, right? This is just like, you know, people challenge you, blah blah blah. So people just think that like, you know, if I'm so smart and I made certain decisions or whatever, then you know certain things shouldn't happen or should happen, blah 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 blah. And when we use specifics and all that type of stuff, blah blah blah. So like they want to know my life, you know, nosy ass motherfuckers, right? Sometimes I will, sometimes I won't, no big deal. But like, so I think that's it. And I guess people just like miss the forest for the trees. I said this already, but like I'm gonna say it again because I know I should leave it there. But like sometimes people are like concerned about the things that happen that I take full responsibility for my action and conduct and stuff. But sometimes people do like shit. But like you know they're built-in checks and like whatever is the way it works. But like sometimes I think that people like will focus, like they'll major on the minors or make a big ado about nothing, right? So they're like, oh, you know what I mean? Like I just scored 1,000,000 points in this fucking game, and you worried about like. You know, you worried about, I don't know, you worried about the fact that like, I don't know. I don't know. You're worried about the fact that, like, I don't know, something that's really, really petty, because this is really how petty it is, that, like, I don't know, like, they painted the door, like, with, like, the door to, like, whatever, to the, let's say, the door to the, like, whatever, I don't know, mansion, Coliseum, like, I don't know, they painted it, like, platinum instead of gold. I don't know. So they're like, oh my God, like this bitch scored 1,000,000 points, but the door is fucking platinum and I say gold. I mean, that can be significant, and like, but it's like, what does that have to do with the fucking game? I scored 1,000,000 points, bitch. Just like, let's not, what was it? I forget the expression, but like, let's, whatever. Let's not like, whatever. You get the idea. It's right. I don't want to say the same thing over again. So, but it's like, let's not like lose focus or lose sight of like the goal or the main point, right? Let's not lose focus. Like, people are sometimes like focus on irrelevant shit to try to like make it act like it has some correlation to it, but it doesn't. Like, people try to attribute motive, purpose, and intent to certain conduct, and it's not the motive, purpose, or intent for that conduct, right? They're just trying to. This is my old shit, right? This stuff I said a long time ago, but like not a long time ago, but long enough ago. And so people will try to like say, well, this is the reason why she did this, or this is the reason why, this is how she should feel, blah blah blah. No, but you don't know. You don't fucking know. So, but like that's it. So, yeah. So I guess another thing I want to say is that, other people do it doesn't mean, it doesn't mean people do things for different reasons. But the other thing I want to say was that I was explaining things like, well, if I do something, right, and if I haven't achieved an accomplishment, people will either try to say it's BS, or I try to discount it, and then if they can't discount it because it's not BS, then they'll say, well, if it's not BS, then they'll try to discount the way I obtained it or achieved it, or the way whatever, the way I like how I they'll try to attack the credibility of it, right, the validity or whatever. That's like, well, people make different decisions. Some people fucking tell you, okay, that I didn't make that decision, but even if I choose to have sex, that's my discretionary decision, right? It doesn't, I can like, some people can handle, they can handle everything. It's not a correlation, causation, not because some people trade one for one. I don't trade one for one in that regard. Like, that's not how I choose to live my life. Some people do. It's okay. It's like, yeah, bitch, I figured it out early. So I'm like, that's why I got what I got. So it's cool. Like, no disrespect to anybody, right? That's not a function of fear or anything. It's just no disrespect. I have a heart. It's like, well, did she play through courage or whatever? Or she doesn't know. She was just she was sleeping through the whole thing. So it's not like she was actually had to proactively use it. No, I had to proactively use my courage, in a lot of different situations, right? It's like, if you don't feel the pain or whatever, if you don't have to actually use emotional strength and mental strength, whatever, it just comes so easy for you, then it's not valid. I get that, but the point is that I use emotional strength. I use, discipline, and I use spiritual strength and discipline and everything. And sometimes, and last time it's, in the face of fear, and it's like, people who are smart don't have fear. False evidence appearing real. I get the idea. That's something I heard a long time ago, right? FEAR, false evidence appearing real. But whatever. Sometimes you grow, you mature, God, life, or whatever. So you feel things, and so if you play through those whatever is the barrier, whatever is the sensitivity, whatever is the vulnerability, you play through it. Somebody didn't want to go to school. I have a bad basketball game. I was I thought I had a bad basketball game. I only score a certain number of points or whatever, and I'm whatever, and I'm whatever, I'm if I'm the MVP of the game, or the holiday classic, or whatever, it's cool or whatever. I actually, I did do some shit. I had some good games. I was in, my box scores were good. Won a game. I won a game. I don't remember. I think I maybe had 20 points or whatever, and a game-winning 3 at the end. You recorded me. You can check it, right? Because people are oh, that's not true. You can tell a person here or there, but no, I'm recorded. I think what was it, Georgetown Day, Georgetown Visitation? I know my uncle and my grandfather, I think, were there. Whatever. I'm a grown woman, I know, but at that time I was just in 12, 13, 14, whatever. I was in high school, prep school or whatever. So, that's what I'm referring to my family members at that age, because that's how I was experiencing things at the age when I was a child. And so I won the shot, I won the game, I won 3-pointer, I was in the, baseline, corner baseline, shot it, 3-pointer, buzzer beater, won the game. How many people have that experience? Anyway, Okay, that's not a problem. I'm just saying, like, sometimes, like, things, I get it, like that, like, it doesn't mean, like, defense and, like, attacks are two different things. Like violations are not okay. Defense may or may not be okay. Violations or defense may or may not be necessary depending on who you are and what your life is. Some people go through life, have relatively few problems. Some people go through life, maybe have a greater number of problems, but it doesn't mean that just because you're black, you have to have a lot of problems. Just because you grew up in the city, you have to have a lot of problems. Like, no, there are different ways that things happen. Right? I mean, there are different, like, kind of understandings and roles and stuff like that. Like, it's like, well, if you were strong enough, whatever, nobody would have challenged, blah, blah, blah. Who knows? Like, let's just put a pin in that because, like, people, I'm not the problem. So, but, like, I'm about to take responsibility for my actions. Live and learn, built-in checks, function of age. Moving on, how many answers you want. But, like, so, but that's one thing, right? So, like, if in terms of your God is good. But in terms of your like, if you like, if I how I earned it, right? How I earned it. Like they say, if you don't like you know when you worked hard, you know when you're out of breath, like anywhere, like if you're working out, no matter how heavy or how light you are in weight, like if you're like aerobic heart rate is the same, right? I don't know if it's between 170 and 180, I don't know, but like if it takes you longer to get to 170 or 180, or it takes you shorter period of time or whatever, like once you get to that point and it's sustained at that heart level, no matter what your weight is, it may, I don't know, there's a way it works, like mass times energy, I mean mass times energy, mass times something, or mass times weight, mass time, I don't remember what it is, but like gravity, weight, energy, whatever, however that works. Like if you're, I can just look it up and remind myself. Don't, you know, but like if you like things that are heavy, it's hard to move things that are heavy, like potential energy to kinetic energy, right? To get things in motion, it's really hard to get things in motion, but once you get things in motion, it's hard to like slow them down, right? So that's like, you know, that's the way things work. Like I took physics and stuff when I was a kid or whatever. I'm not, you know, I took, you know, enough, like, you know, I took physics, took chemistry, stuff like that, in prep school, I think some in high school, some in middle school, whatever. But like the idea is just that, like, you know, if your heart rate, like, if you're heavier, it may be harder to move your mass to get it to a certain heart rate, and if you're lighter, I don't really know how that works, but like you may or it may not take as much to get you to that. It may not take as much force to get you to that heart rate, but if you are at that heart rate, doesn't mean it's easier for you just because you're at a lighter weight. Some people are natural runners, so people have different skills and different draws or whatever, different strengths or whatever, so it's hard. Like some people have to run an hour before they actually get tired. So I mean, you know, because like people have different strengths, like, you know, sorry, I don't want to sound like I'm not credible, but let's just not, again, let's just stay focused here, because the idea is that, like, how many people know exactly what I know? Like, people are like, sometimes people challenge you on what you know because of what you say or how you say it, but they're not really focusing on like the substance of what you actually said or the point of what you said, right? They're focusing on like, oh, does she sound confident what she's saying it, or they're focused on like the actual language, the actual terms, like, is good enough in terms of what I'm saying. You can look up the rest, but the idea is just that, you know, what did I say? Potential energy to kinetic energy. What did I say? Mass, energy. Like, what did I say? Atoms. Like, you get the idea. I'm not just putting it together. It makes sense, but like, you can fill in the gaps. Like, read between the lines, fill in the gaps. Like, you can just go to the library and get a physics book or whatever, you know. You can fill in the gaps. So when was the last time I took, you know, I took physics a long time ago. I took all this stuff, like, do you use it on an everyday basis? Not necessarily, but like, you remember enough, and your mind only has so much capacity, right? It evolves, it's flexible and all that type of stuff, and like your mind is like great, but like, you know, that's why they have in court, like you refresh the person's recollection, right? Oh, now I remember, I get it. Doesn't mean you're not credible. Like, they're tools for refreshing the recollection, right? Like, you know, people remember things. I remember the significance. I remember certain things, like, and the other things I can just fill in the gaps, but whatever. Because, you know, I'm still, you know, credibility is not my problem. But the idea is just that, like, people think that, like, so the idea is if it comes easy, I get it. Like, a talent only goes so far. You use your discipline, turn to a skill, that's good, right? That's the same thing as like kind of fighting through fear, expressing your courage, that type of thing. And when you get to a point of a skill, you get so good, you can exercise your discretion, right? You exercise your discretion because your practice or whatever experience, blah, blah, blah. But some things, people do certain things, and it doesn't mean everybody evolves to a point of art. Some people stay stuck at skills. Some people stay stuck at talent, right? Sometimes discipline is a critical line in like what happened and how well a person does. And some people have natural talent for things. Some people don't have a natural talent for things. So even if a person, like, there are a lot of different factors, right? Discipline, talent, time, effort, it's a whole lot of experience, blah, blah, blah. But just because a person came into something early doesn't mean they've been doing it for a long time, doesn't mean they're better than someone who did it, who started earlier, right? There are people who are in the NBA, whatever the intent, motivation, those things matter too. But like, if you're like, there are people in the NBA, but like, there are certain stars in the NBA, but there's certain stars in the NBA, but like, you know what I mean? So is it because you started earlier? No, maybe not. Because you can start later. People have head starts, whatever. You can start later and then still be and be better, right? So, age, time, these factors are not this positive sometimes, depending on the situation. But like, okay, so I just want to, I guess the lighting a little bit. Okay, so the lighting, here's the lighting. I probably should close my blinds, whatever, because I guess it's kind of running interference on the camera. But like, okay, let's see, now I can face the other way. Okay, but like, okay, so I think that's it. So that's why I want to stay focused, right? So let me just go back. So I already explained the idea about why people think people are more credible or whatever. People think some people are more credible if they're older. Like the different ways that people can be more credible: age, experience. If you're born like into a certain type of like class or reputation or those types of things, there are a lot of ways you can like have credibility. And certain people respect certain things. Some people respect education. Some people respect prison. Some people respect music. Some people respect acting. Some people respect comedy. Some people respect drama. Like it's different. Like they're whatever. Some of them are lateral positions. Some of them are not. Like it's multi-factored, right? But so that's one thing, right? So just because you have a kid, and that's how just because you have a kid in a house doesn't mean you're better than someone else who doesn't have a kid in the house. It's like they're saying that because they have a kid, because they have a kid in the house and that was their intent, and you had an intent for a kid in the house, and they were able to get the kid in the house, and that was their intent, but were you able to get the kid in the house, and that was your intent, so they were able to get what they wanted, but you weren't able to get what you wanted, you both wanted the same thing. That must mean they're better at getting what they want than you are at getting what you want, right? So that's, I guess that is. I guess it sounds good to people, they're like, I'll take that one, blah, 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 but like, that's not necessarily true. Like, that's not how simple life is, but people, I guess they try to narrow it down to make it that simple, but it's not that simple. I need to wash the dishes. Sorry, but like, but I think that's the argument people are making or whatever. But like, I guess people are only like basing it on one or two things. Like, how many things has a person done in their life? Like, because there are a lot of things that I've done in my life. Like, I guess people want, it depends on what the jurisdiction is. Like, okay, in the law, it's one thing. Like, and then when I say 80-20, okay, the person may have gotten certain things they wanted in this particular jurisdiction, but what did I get in my jurisdiction, right? So, okay, if you wanted to do like, I don't know, if you wanted to do like OCI, work at a big firm in your first year of law school or whatever, blah, 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 then it's like, well, if you work at a mid-sized firm and like, even though your goal was a large firm or whatever, and you work at a mid-sized firm or whatever, it's like good enough. Like, it's like people, you have to be flexible, right? Flexibility, like that's what I mean. Like, even though like you can set an intent, like there's something that are within the range of that intent that will still be acceptable. Sometimes you have to hit the nail on the head. Sometimes it's something that are within the range, and that's what I mean by 80-20. Like, it's within the range. Like, oh, I wanted this, but like it's not going, it's not like, some things you really want and you get. Like, some things I really wanted and I really did get. Some things were better, like I had an intent, and some things were better than what I actually intended, right? Some things, were within range. But like people, but no, accepting like something that's like way, no, that's like ridiculous. No. But like, and so that's what I'm saying. Like, people think that just because like you set an intent for something, like it's something, it's like there's only one person going to be first place in like a track race or whatever. I get the point. But like, in a person who's second place, like are they really happy with second place? Maybe not. But if they're flexible, if they have like the emotional strength and those types of things, maybe they may come first in another race, right? They may come first, not second wave, but they may come first another time. Or sometimes the person who wins second is more famous or is better or is, they don't know, people throw the game. It's a whole lot of stuff that happens, right? But are better, they're built in terms of the way it works. Like the first place winner is who is really first and who's not or whatever. And depending on your life, put the whole life together, there's a whole lot of things that are going on, right? So I think people kind of don't understand that. That's what I say. Like there's like the actual like just the 1 or 2, 3 things that are very important, like just on paper. But like there are nuances to it that I think people miss. Like they miss certain things about why they don't understand how a person can have peace and be happy if it seems like they didn't. If it seems like if it seems like they shouldn't be, right? So people don't. I guess people are like, well, how is she still okay? How is she content if it seems like she has these problems or whatever? But I'm not saying it's okay to take a person through problems and stuff like this because I have emotional strength. Because I have emotional strength and I'm able to like heal and cure and all that stuff doesn't mean that you can still do ratchet ass shit. That's not what I'm saying, right? So I'm just saying like, but I'm just saying like the idea is that the idea is that like I have emotional strength, and you live and you learn, and they say fake it till you make it. Not faking in a fraud sense, not in a dishonest way, but it's like within the meaning of the law, right? So it doesn't mean fake in that sense, right? But like and I didn't even really know what that meant until later. Sometimes, hindsight's 2020. Sometimes you don't know things in the moment. Something that resonate with you, and you're like, oh, you get it later in life. It's no big deal. But just because you do it first and early doesn't mean you made the right decision. Doesn't mean you made the better decision. That's not true. Just because a person's life looks a certain way doesn't mean that it is what it is, because there are a lot of rich people, a lot of wealthy people, a lot of people who think they have it all, and they still do things like commit suicide. They still are unhappy. It's a whole lot of people like that on the outside looking in. It seems like they have everything, but they don't. I'm not making excuses. I'm not like trying to. I think people are like kind of myopic. It's kind of strange. Some things are simple, but some things are not. So I think that's it. Like, so people, I just wanted people like to kind of like get it. I'm not saying it's okay to traumatize or take people through trauma. I'm just saying you live and you learn things that function. Age, my religion believes in silly health. The things I don't know, it's like God takes care of children and imbeciles. I'm not an imbecile, I'm not a child, but like you get the idea. There's a biblical scripture that says, like, if God takes care of the beasts of the earth and the birds of the air, how much more is people whom he loves, right? If God loves you, but I don't want to go. This is like a circular argument. I don't want to keep going over it over and over again. But like, but the idea is just that like people assume that if someone has something that like if you both set an intent and they were able to achieve it, and like maybe you achieved what you achieved, but it wasn't you. They think that they achieved. If you have the same objective, they think that they achieved what you wanted. So therefore, you should covet what they have, or therefore you should be no. You both have the same goals, but they achieved what they achieved in their own way, on their own path. It's like I'm therapizing people now, right? Because it's not really for me, but like, I mean, kind of, but not really. But like, but like they have what they have, and that was their goal and their objective. Great. A lot of things are not zero sum. There are a lot of firms in the world. There's a lot of time in the world. There are a lot of ways to make $1 million. It's like, what's the objective? What's motivating the person? Like, what do you want? Is it that you want people to think well of you? Is it that you want to have comfort? Is it that you want to have security? And you think these things represent comfort? These things represent security? These things represent respect. These things represent wealth. These things, you know what I mean? So people, like, there's many ways to get those types of things, and that's why people think that you should settle. I'm not saying settle. Like, if those are things you want, you don't have to settle. Like, a lot of times people get it's not you figure it out and you get the things that you want. Like, a lot of times, I get the things that I want, whatever, blah, blah, blah. It's like sometimes in the moment, do you get the things that you want? Sometimes it is important to get them exactly in the moment. Sometimes it's important to get the exact thing that you want. Sometimes it's important to get the exact thing you want in the moment. Sometimes it's important to get the exact thing that you want at some time, right? But like, or at a certain time, right? All these things are different factors, right? And it's all important. If you have emotional strength and like physical strength and spiritual strength and all these types of things, and discipline and all these types of things, and all these maturity, then you kind of understand these things. I think people just think like, oh, she wanted this and somebody else got this, or things, no, or she wanted this and it took this amount of time, or she wanted this, or we don't know if she's going to get it, and therefore she should be. No, it's not that simple. There are a lot of if-then statements, a lot of conditional statements, if this, then that, but like there are a lot of other nuances, and people don't understand all. People, if this, then this, but people don't understand all of like how it works, right? Because these are just like very static factors and very static things, but there are things that are I call it intangibles, but there are also other things that affect how you interpret and make sense of the things that happen in life, and that is important. This is important, right? So I think I think the issue is that I don't cover anybody else anything. I'm not possessive of anybody else's anything or any of those types of things. And I'm also what they have that they achieved, I don't know how they achieved it. Even if they achieved it legitimately, whatever, or however, in a way that I respect or whatever, that's that's good for them, because I don't want to sound like I sound a certain way. It's good. Like, I don't want to sound tongue in cheek or anything. It's good. Like, kudos, right? Maybe you said it, people think that you're like being disingenuous and stuff, but I'm not. It's a good thing. But like I have, because I have faith, because I have confidence, I'm spiritually mature, emotionally mature. I believe I will always have those things, and the things that I have already, I'm very thankful for things I have, and the things like I don't think the grass is greener on the other side. And there are a lot of things that I have in my life. I'm not saying that people should compare themselves to me. But like, if you only focus on like these 1, 2 things, like if that's you're using this as a standard, that's the only one thing. But it's like there are a lot of things like, not just that God reveals, not only God reveals it to me, but certain things about that, certain things that I have accomplished, achieved, that for which God is blessed. Like God is blessed. Like there's certain things that I just for. It's just that I'm just like, God is just good, right? I'm resilient. I'm persistent. Like I endure. Like these are like character strengths that make all like what things like the material, like kind of basic things. They're things that these are like important kind of characteristics and personality traits for life, right? For life. These other things are good, right? They're good. But this is how I make sense of it. This is the procedure to the substance, right? This is the procedure to the substance. This is the nuance. I don't know. So I guess I'm trying to explain. It's hard for me to like explain to other people who don't understand. Like I'm like people. There are some people who are jealous. There are some people who hate. But there's some people who aren't jealous, and there's some people who don't hate, right? And they understand it. I'm just trying to explain to them how what are the processes that happen that make me okay with life. I'm not saying like I have a confidence that I always get the things that I set out to achieve, right? Not in an arrogant way or anything like that, but like I just have the confidence. So so yes. So even though people have certain things, it's like for them, but what are my accomplishments as an individual, right? My accomplishments are individual. Like, these, I guess what am I saying? Like my value, people think that if you're a person who achieves and accomplishes a lot, that your value is only like based on like, yes, you do get a certain level of confidence from setting an intent and meeting the intent you set. The confidence does arise from, that's one way to have confidence, but you also get confidence from in other ways, right? Like I'm competent in many things, I'm skilled in many things, whatever. And I like what I talk about 80-20, like I set the intent enough. Like did the Chicago Bulls win all the games, what to say words in all the games, blah, blah, blah. Like, like I think Jordan, like I don't know if it's percentage from like the field goal percentage or whatever, but like he's still considered one of the greatest of all time, or the greatest of all time among some people, right? Steph Curry, whatever, blah blah blah, and like there are a whole lot of individuals who I was growing up, I was like watching the Orlando Magic, so I guess it was like Shaquille O'Neal, Anthony Hardaway, and Shaquille O'Neal, and like there were so many people. I don't know, Allen Iverson. He's a little bit late. He played at Georgetown, I think, whatever. He's from Virginia. I don't know. I thought he was at a game in Virginia when I was at Hampton. I went to Hampton for undergrad or whatever. I thought he was there. Like, there's a whole lot of people. People come to college football games or whatever. But I don't really know. But there's a whole lot of people. He went. I know Allen Iverson played for Georgetown for a short period of time. I'm sorry. He played for Georgetown. Not a short period. I'm sorry. He played for Georgetown. My uncle also played for Georgetown. Not at the same time. But like, and I think they both played under Thompson, I think, coach. Okay. Well, anyway, but like, so I'm sorry, I'm digressing a little bit, but yeah, I mean, there's so many great basketball players, right? And then there was like, I don't know, some of them are escaping me, but I mean, there were so many great ones. I know there's some before my time, right? And I don't want to not say people's names because there's so many. Oh, there's so many. Yeah, I'll just leave it there. I mean, don't take it for granted. I know there are a lot of basketball players. I'm just not saying their names right now. Like Rome wasn't built in a day. So, so I have to say it all in one recording. And so, but in terms of like, that's why I said 80-20, right? So what I'm saying, if I have achieved 80%, like if I set my intent 80% of the time and like 20% of the time things don't or whatever, no big deal. Of like Jordan is like the best of all time and say his field goal percent, I'm not really sure. I say it's between 20 and 40%, whatever. But he's still the greatest of all time. Like that all time, let's say that 20 and 40% is like the equivalent of 80-20, right? So because like in basketball, the greater amount of skills that require and stuff like that, whatever. But like so, and it's good, right? And sometimes you're just playing for points, right? You know what I mean? Like, yes, these things would be good, but like I accomplished a whole lot in my life really, really early in life. So it's like I set an intent for these things, but a lot of times I'm just playing for points here. It's like, yes, points because, you can play for points when you lose, but it's like, no, I'm winning, bitch. I always win. And so, like, I'm sorry, I don't want to say it in that way, and show a little strength, whatever, But yeah, so, at some point, it's just like points. Like, my confidence, I've already, like, established enough achievements and stuff in my life, to have accomplishments. And I'm not saying it's okay for me. I'm not saying it's okay, to like stop or whatever. A lot of people have been in the industry for a while. Like was it Brandy, Monica, Trey Songz, Chris Brown? I feel like a lot of them started. This is just music, right? And then even some of the other like Justin Bieber. They started, I think, small. Was it the Mickey Mouse Club? I'm not really sure. What was the other girl? I'm sorry, not girl. Whatever. What is her name? Britney Spears, right? So, like, a lot of people started early in the industry. I mean, people may have started early in the industry, but these are like people started early in the industry when, I think Justin Bieber, Justin Timberlake, right? But these are people started early in the industry, like, when I was coming up, from, like, I was born in the 80s, right? But there are other people who also, and, like, in acting, same thing. There are a lot of people, people who came up and then continue. Like, a lot of people want to have longevity in their careers or whatever and maintain their youth and whatever. But, like, and sometimes you don't even know the things people are doing. So it's like, oh, I know you were doing all this. You know what I mean? But this is the idea, right? So my confidence, like, I've been early in life, I was able to do a lot of things. Like, I was very, I was and am very talented. And then, like, I disciplined and skilled and everything, right? So it wasn't just my talent. I didn't just like rest on my laurels, right? I continued to discipline myself, my workout. I don't like in the sense of preposition, but it's not really, workout is not really a sentence in the sense of preposition, because workout is really a noun. It's just two words, work out. The word together is actually a noun. It's not a preposition, even though the second word out is a preposition, but like work out together is like a noun. Okay, but like if you call it a workout, but if you say I am working out, that's more of a that's like a whole more complex sentence. Like am working is more like a verb type thing. But like a workout, if you're naming it. Okay. So anyway, so I guess people were like, that's like, well, you want to be a lawyer or what? Oh, I didn't even say that. You want to be a attorney? You were 12, whatever. You want to do all stuff, and like, whatever. Some things I just formed, like, not really. I guess I wanted to graduate from, like, I wanted to graduate, but like, I didn't really set an intent for certain things. Everything is like, there's just, I had more things, just keep like, whatever. It's like, what the bottom is, like, what's the best thing? What's the calling on my life? Like, they put, like, Jonah was like, Jonah was like, I ain't going to Nineveh. And he ended up in the belly of the whale. It's like, oh no, you going to Nineveh. Like biblical characters and stuff, whatever, like whatever. So, but that's the idea. But I guess it's free will, right? But if you have a call in your life, you're the prodigal son or whatever, return or whatever, like, all those types of things. Like, and his father welcomed him with open arms or whatever. He went out to the world and squandered all his wealth and came back and like, but I guess he had a brother. I don't really know. So he had to kind of see how that worked or whatever, because he was like, oh, you went out and did everything in the world and came back and open arms, and the son who stayed, it was like, we stayed, and like, how, beautiful stories. What lessons are they teaching? Are they teaching you, me, I, us? Okay, so it's kind of hard to explain, but I guess you all get the idea, right? Because who's her? Like, no, like that's not it. I've never, that's not it. So right, I accomplished a lot. I get a lot. People are like, oh, someone fall off. No, I get a lot. Blah, blah, blah. My life has always been good. Well, whatever. Blah, blah, blah. You live and you learn. You work smart, work hard. Like it's like it can be a combination, like 50% hard, 50% smart, or like 40% hard, 60% smart, or 60% hard, 40. I'd like to say that. Well, 7% hard, 30% smart, 70% smart, 30% hard, whatever, a combination, work hard, work smart, whatever, we get the idea. It's probably kind of the same outcomes, pretty much the same outcomes, but like, it's like how much, is it physically difficult, emotionally difficult, spiritually difficult, whatever, and as you grow and age or whatever, and get older or whatever, physically age, like there are different ways to age, right? You can age in different ways, but like physically, whatever, make new decisions, whatever. Everything's in the meaning of the law. People are like, oh, you doing shit you didn't do before. I know, it's like within the meaning of the law, because like, oh, it was like, different situations, certain things call for different types of, techniques or whatever. There's an expression for it, I'm not really saying it. So just because a person is doing things you may not have seen them do in the past doesn't mean that they didn't always possess the ability. It may have been subconscious, unconscious, or whatever. But if whatever, you have to kind of adjust and be flexible and amend. But it's only within the meaning of the law. It doesn't mean you just gonna all of a sudden start doing crazy shit you never did, whatever. And then who determines what is crazy? Who determines what is within the realm of not possibility? What is the realm of reason of who you are as a person, right? Is it a 180? Is it is it a closer to 360 or whatever? How does whatever? But so I guess people are, people try to challenge you and shit. It's am I is this Rosetta Stone? Why am I explaining this to you? Speaking a language you understand, blah, blah, blah. I don't know how many things I gotta say. It's some people well, you gotta go through shit. No, you don't have to go through stuff to just prove it. You don't have to go through the same things over and over again just to prove it. This is not a Freddy Krueger movie, right? So I guess that's so right. Okay, right. So I'm just trying to explain to people why, people think why they can't really understand how I'm so calm. Well, how people make when I my confidence or peace or calm or whatever. I'm not saying things don't annoy me or I don't get irritated or whatever. People don't irritate me and stuff like that. I'm not gonna say that, but whatever. But God is good, and So I think that's it. I think that people. So am I credible? Credible in what regard, on what grounds, whatever. Because people think how you do anything is how you do everything, and if people know about a certain person, I know this person. Some people, you pick your players, or you pick your favorites or whatever. Some people if you learn some things are classic, right? Some things are just timeless, right? So some things from go from this beginning of time live forever or whatever. Are there Bible? I think they're books older than the Bible, but is there anything older than God? I don't, you know what I mean? Because it's whatever. But so God is old and about whatever, depending on your religion, a whole lot of stuff. But some things are kind of timeless. So they go from generation to generation. That's why I say it's important to know your history, right? But some things just live forever, forever. They say there's nothing new under the sun. What does that mean, right? But so I guess in terms of things being there's nothing new under the sun and stuff, I think the idea is that or in terms of things being timeless, I think the thing is that some art or some things are so what was the point I was trying to make? But are so groundbreaking or state of the art or classic or I don't know, the word is so valuable or whatever, that they just survive throughout time. And I guess the point I was trying to make is just that gosh, but I'll come back to it. But it's going to come back to me, I know. But I guess the idea is just that people wonder why how a person can be confident in certain things, right? So I guess there's some things that will always be what am I trying to say? They'll always be valuable, but so people, I guess reputation and credibility, right? So people think that you're there's something that people will always value for the most part, right? So some things kind of cross dividing lines or whatever. I get it. Most people will respect this. Most people will respect these types of things. Most people kind of respect hard work. Most people kind of respect but some people don't, right? Some people why are you working so hard? You come to these blah blah whatever. But most people some things depending, most people I think. Whatever the controlling narrative is, a lot of people buy into that controlling narrative, whatever, in a country or whatever in a jurisdiction. So it's going to be kind of a standard or whatever, a litmus test. But it doesn't mean that the person so credible, a person will be credible, but it doesn't mean that a person who kind of does it their own way, they're always trailblazers, they're always people who change the game, they're always game changers and stuff like that. And people this build-up romance, or people the coming of age story, people you know, over a person who overcomes, like people like overcoming stories. A lot of people do, right? People overcome adversity and stuff like that. So I guess like some people don't have as much adversity. Some people do. Some people have emotional adversity. Some people have different, like some people have like drama in relationships. Some people identify with that. Some people have like physical health things. People identify with people overcome physical health things. Some people identify people who overcome like reading and literacy and like education and mental like types of things. Some people appreciate the person who like overcomes poverty or like, you know, people have different stories, right? So some people appreciate the person who is wealthy but develops care or maintains character, develops character even though having wealth and everything, you know, at their fingertips. Some people appreciate the person who like is has like kind of everything, but still but choose like Buddha, like choose to give it all up and like go around the world or whatever. But like, you know, so people just make, you know, people respect different things. No big deal. So credibility in what sense? So everybody has a story. You know, own your story. You know, move forward in your story or whatever. Pretty eyes. But like, so some, you know, I consider myself, you know, attractive or whatever, pretty cute, pretty beautiful, gorgeous, good looking, whatever. But like, so I think, you know, the person who like doesn't like rely on their looks for everything, they can, but they don't. But like, you know, some people respect that, right? It just depends, right? So, but so I think that the issue is just that you know, people think that a person, the way you do anything, everything, the way you do everything, blah blah blah. The way you do anything is the way you do everything, blah blah blah. So if you're credible in one sense, like are you like, you know, most people think it just crosses domains. You can be credible in pretty much things. I think Michael Jackson. Some people sing, dance, and act, right? But some people are just consummate artists. But some people are like I think Michael Jordan. He played basketball mostly, but then he went to baseball, right? And people like focusing on like certain things, but like I mean, it was pretty respectful what he did in baseball, right? You know, how many people can go from one like, you know, major sport to another major sport, like, you know, how many people are able to do this? So and he plays golf, right? So, you know, so I guess that's the idea, right? So people think, so, you know, I've been, so people are gonna respect different things, right? No big deal. But I am credible, you know, it's like I'm influential, I am persuasive and all those great things. And it's like, oh, who has the strongest network and blah blah blah. My network is strong enough, blah blah blah. You know, my religious beliefs sincerely are right. You know, I am not Jesus, you know, but I'm a Christian, but like, you know, I'm not even sure. You know, I have to read more about the Bible to understand Jesus' life, but I think he didn't appear, what was it, 30 until 33 was what was going on for the first 33 years and stuff like that, or whatever. And so, and like his time, like in the biblical time, even though it's like a lot in the Bible, it's like, I'm not exactly sure over what period of time it took place, but I don't think it was like a very extended period of time. But the idea is just that, like people respect different things, right? And so, but like there is a controlling narrative generally, I get it. But like just because someone else has a certain amount of credibility or whatever doesn't mean I don't have credibility. It's not zero sum. Like I'm a credible person, I'm influential, I'm persuasive, and all those good things. I'm not really defending myself in that regard. I'm just saying, like, bitches need to know sometimes, no big deal. But like, or people need to know, no big deal. So, but like, and I think if somebody is like, if you heard somebody's name and like you grew up with that person, you're like, oh yeah, I know this person, I get it, blah blah blah. Or if their name represents the idea or whatever, blah blah blah. You're like, okay, this, I'm like, that's something like that's like your go-to or your or whatever, and that's good. And it's like, oh, I don't know who this person is. Like, better the devil you know than the devil you don't know, or whatever. Or like if they don't, I'm not saying the person's a devil necessarily, but like sometimes people go what's familiar, what's common, and somebody comes up and it's like, oh, and they change the game in Trailblazer or whatever, or it's like something that people have never seen or whatever, or they like whatever. This person is like before their time a whole lot, so like Kanye West, stuff like that. But like if people haven't seen it or whatever, and they're like, oh, you know, blah blah blah, it's like, and they just go with what they know because it's comfortable or whatever. Sometimes people don't like to change. Sometimes, you know, change can be difficult or whatever. And it's like, who's this new person, right? So who's the incumbent and who is the challenger, and on what grounds? Who's the incumbent on what grounds? Who's the challenger on what grounds? Because like maybe the incumbent in this jurisdiction, like maybe the person, I don't know, excuse me, I don't know, but like maybe the person's from like Arkansas. It's like, oh yeah, if you go to Arkansas, I know this person's big in Arkansas. But if you go to like LA, it's like, oh no, this different person is big in LA. So like, okay, so if they come out or whatever, it's like, so if the people go to like the people in LA go to Arkansas, they're like, well, they expect whatever. It's like, well, I'm from LA, you know, so it's like, or people in LA, it's like, oh, but I'm from Arkansas. So it's like, you know, So that's the whole point. It's like whatever you're saying. Some people will be like, "Oh, you coming to my house," and then you have all these people trying to say, like they're trying to like, like how soon we forget, right? So that's the idea. It's like, oh, who's so and so. People come out of retirement, all type of stuff. Like whatever. That's the idea. Right, because people don't, they may not know you, but it's not because I'm new. They don't know me because they didn't do their history. They don't know the work because they just because they for whatever reason they don't know. Maybe they're not from here. It's a whole lot of things, right? But so people, people like it's like, oh, right. So they automatically assume that what they know is the best, but what they know is not necessarily the best. They just don't know anything else. And it's like hard to believe something or someone or somebody, whatever, can be better than what they already know. But it's like, I've known this all my life. And it's like, oh my gosh, like even with like in African spirituality, I'm thinking when Europeans introduced the idea of God to like the African spirituality, the pantheon, like they were already African gods, right? But it was like, oh, this God, this white man's God or whatever I want to say it like that. It's like, he's kind of cool. Let's go ahead and throw him in there, right? Because I mean, I don't know what all the gods were at that time or whatever, but that was like in African spirituality, I was like there's a Orisha, right? So, but like, and they're different. I don't want to start going to sound like I know, whatever. But like Oludumare and Obatala and stuff like that. Like when there are other Shango, and like I don't want to mix them up because like there's Ifa and then there's Yoruba. I don't know all of them. I don't know all of them. I just know some of the names, right? And then there's Greek mythology, like the Greek gods. It's like a whole lot of stuff, right? So, but some are part human, part God. Like Hercules is part human, part God. He's God, but he was brought to Earth, right? Whatever. But then he was constantly trying to make it back to be a god, right? But or prove his god status or whatever. I think that's what it was about, something like that. Whatever. We had to keep going through all these challenges over and over and over again, right, to prove it. So I guess what I'm saying is that like sometimes you can be somewhere and it's like it's not a prophet has no honor in his own home, right? But like sometimes you can be somewhere and people don't know, and so it's like it's just like you have to like kind of remind people who you are sometimes. And it's like just because you don't choose to live like a life a certain type of way that most people like, it's like if I could sing, I would do this, and if I was talented, I would do this, or if I could act, I would do this, or if I could dance, I would do this. People make different decisions. Doesn't mean you're lazy. Doesn't mean like your life is any easier or whatever. I know it's a lot of work to give a concert, to like sing and dance at the same time. It's probably pretty hard. I mean, I think I've done it. I think so. I've danced, I've sung, or whatever. But like in terms of dancing and singing, I get it. Like a concert, is it 2 hours, 1 hour, whatever? It's a lot of work. And I play sports. So I know sometimes like I was running track one time and I was like, oh my God, I have shin splints. I'm tired. I think I had to run the 4, the 2, and I think the 2 relay or whatever. I think I might have also done the long jump. I'm not really sure, but I had like several events in one like track meet. And, it was difficult, right? So I mean, even in a concert, I know like sometimes like some of the songs require dance, some of the songs don't require dancing. You can get your breath, catch your breath, stuff like that. But I get it. Like how many concerts do people give in a lifetime and all types of things? If you're a model, a runway model, how many times do you have a runway model? It's like, oh, you work, but do you work hard? I worked hard enough. I worked hard enough. And so it's not like a shortcoming. It's not like, it's like a flaw in that regard. Like most of it, or in any regard, right? I've been in the poetry circuit. I work hard my entire life. But like, so yeah. So I guess that's really wanted to say, because I think and I'll make this the last point. How long is this? Oh, I've been talking for almost an hour, 58 minutes and some seconds. Okay, so but I think that's the idea, right? Because people were like, well, if everybody, why am I like why? I think I first stopped there. It was like, why am I like why are why are certain people not on the bandwagon? Why am I not on the bandwagon? And why am I vocal about it? Some people might not be on the bandwagon, but they may not be as vocal about it. But if I'm not on the bandwagon, why am I not? And why am I vocal about it? Like in a certain sense, it's not about being mad or anything like that. Sometimes people think that, but it's just about, people are called to different things, right? Sometimes people get the call to do certain things, and people get the call to speak. People get the call, like sometimes people, are given information, but they don't, like their calling is not to say it. Their calling is not to speak it. Like their calling is to maybe think it or believe it or feel it or whatever, but it's not to speak it in a certain way, right? So that's a little bit different, right? And sometimes the person who speaks, is it's the message. Sometimes don't shoot the messenger, right? But like I think for myself, a messenger in what regard, and like an individual with agency and autonomy, and like in what regard? Like some things, sometimes people are prophets and apostles and ministers and counselors and teachers and all that type of stuff. I think it's like in the Bible to a certain extent. But like some people have different calls in life. Sometimes sometimes they are practical professions. Sometimes they're spiritual type thing. Well, whatever. So sometimes people have permission to say it. Sometimes people have qualifications to say it. Sometimes people have permission to say it. Sometimes people have qualifications and permission to say it. It's a whole lot of things that are going on. So I think the problem is just that sometimes when people don't know, like, just it's not like playing it low. It's not like falsely humble or there's another word for it, but like playing it low or like tone it down or whatever. Sometimes it's appropriate to do it, right? But like I think sometimes people think that people think that like if a person isn't doing anything, they can't do anything. But it's not that they can't do anything. It isn't even that they aren't doing anything. Like you just might not know what they're doing. But people make different decisions. Some people like to live in privacy. Like some people like to be behind the scenes. Some people like it doesn't mean they're any less wealthy. It doesn't mean they're any less talented or anything like that. But some people prefer. What do you prefer? Like the kind of loud. I don't know why. I don't know if I use voice the right way, but like the last time, but like loud, kind of like some people are more congenial and stuff like that, and outgoing and stuff like that. And some people like that, right? But some people are more introverted into themselves, whatever. Doesn't mean they aren't as talented, right? And some people who are introverted still perform. Some people who are introverted still, like are dancers or singers or whatever. But people are different. Some people like to hear their name. Some people like to see their name in life. Some people like to hear their name in different places. People make different decisions, right? So just because like you may not want to hear your name or whatever, you may not want to see your name in life. Not because you can't handle it. Like some people are, it's not about the fan for them or whatever. But it's like, is it a decision you make, or is like, do you become bigger than life just because other people acknowledge it, right? Not because you made a decision. Like sometimes people become bigger than life because like it's just who they are, right? But like not even trying too hard, but in order to like make it last forever. Your love. So I think the point is just that like sometimes people don't really know, kind of like everything. So, but it's not a big deal. But like I'm not on the bandwagon, whatever. It's because I don't believe it. I'm not on the bandwagon because like I don't like you're like I'm not like I'm the baddest bitch. Like that's not what I mean. I'm not really like bad bitch. Well, like what's the bad bitch? Well, sometimes I figure things out. Sometimes like what does it mean to live that life? I'm not really in that life, but like sometimes it just means different things. There's a generic meaning. There's actual meaning. There's a whole lot of things. Creative, speaking, artist, whatever. Like what does it mean? I have a good heart, but I'm still like I write on my own material, whatever. I'm not fake. I'm not a fraud or anything like that. But like I've had some experience. Like I do certain things that people like they exist on a continuum. So in what regard? But like. Or like I don't, I'm always going to like. There's no. I don't think there's any. People make different decisions, but what like in game theory is it profitable or is it not wise profitable, but like what's the is there not the strength, but like playing the beta position, is that really a winning argument? So like I don't like you can be an alpha playing the beta, but it doesn't mean you're playing this doesn't mean you assume the beta position. Like people play different games, make different decisions, play different roles, stuff like that. But like I consider myself alpha, woman. But I don't mean alpha in terms of like I'm a broad dominant. Like no, I just mean like for men. I'm appropriate. Like I'm also I guess everything like cooperative and submissive, all those type of things. But like I'm not. But I just mean like I'm not going to just generally I'm not. I mean I know I said when in Rome do like the Romans or whatever. Where is Rome? Who are the Romans? Blah blah blah. Whatever. But the idea is that it's like people think. Like if I'm not on the bandwagon, I'm not. It's not that I'm not easily impressed. I'm not too hard on people or whatever. It's just that I think I'm the best. Like, I don't know what's anything wrong with that. Like, I think I'm the best, right? I'm the best. I'm the greatest, right? I think Muhammad Ali said that, whatever. But I don't mean it in that regard. From God to me, from God to me. I'm not really comparing myself to other people. So, um, but like, but I think that's the idea, right? That's the idea. So I think I think people may be saying something that's like, oh, 90%, or just because the people are the loudest doesn't mean everybody believes it, right? Sometimes the people who are the loudest are just the people that have the biggest complaints, or the biggest like whatever. They have, like, they put the most money into, like, they have the most to lose or gain or whatever. It's a whole lot of stuff. But just because you hear like loud people, like, it doesn't mean that they have the most compelling argument. Like, being the loudest, I know it's you will get sometimes not, but like no, it's not like they're like making a more convincing or compelling argument. It just means, like, some people are loud, right? You can be a strong silent type, you can be, convincing and compelling and not saying much or whatever. It's a whole lot of things, right? But some people I just keep saying things over and over again, like, lay it on thick to make it stick, or like like, if I keep saying it, maybe it'll become true at some point. No. So, like, some people just say things because it's hard for them to, like, change their beliefs, or not even their beliefs, but change how they think. It's hard for them to accept new information. It's hard for them to move from certain whatever. It's just hard for them. So they so it's like hard for them to believe too, whatever, or like whatever, or it's a conflict of interest, right? They may or may not be biased, but it's a conflict of interest for them, right? So they're going to go with that. Some people just hate the winner, right? Some people just like want, like, the person who always wins. They just don't want they playing against this person. I'm playing, like, I'm going for the underdog, whatever. Some people like to go for the underdog. Some people like to go for like the shoe in, or whatever the word is, whatever. But like, some people like to, some people, depending on your experience, like, whatever, some people play different positions, right? So in what jurisdiction the person alpha, and what jurisdiction the person blah blah blah, like, you know what I mean? Like, that's the idea. But like, people respect different things. Do people respect like, what do people respect? Like, do they respect, like, strength, or like, some people are visual, so what they see. Some people respect what they hear. It's like, believe none of what you see and half what you hear, which way is that cut, whatever. People respect different things, right? And depending on what decisions people made, like, if 90% of people made like a certain type of decision, they're just trying to protect their interests, right? If 10% or the 1% of the population that makes $1 billion made different decisions, like, the other 99% of the world, it's like, oh no, we gotta go with whatever 99% made, right? Decision, because that's the percent that it's like the number of people that made that decision. Like, just because it's common doesn't mean it's the most valuable. It just means it's common, and then people get excited about being average. I don't even know why people get excited about being average, but like, that's the idea. Like, people are protecting, like, kind of, because most people are middle class, right? But that 1% of the population that, like, makes, like, all the money, I think they said like 1 to 3% of people, like, make like, I don't know, was it 99% or 90 to 99% of the wealth or whatever. So it's like, those are probably very narrow, very, like, those are probably decisions that most people don't make, right? So, just because you hear people making, like, these decisions, people are loud and stuff, because most people complain when they're, like, mad about stuff. It doesn't mean they're making the most compelling arguments. It doesn't mean they're going to win, right? Because you can protest and all type of stuff. Maybe you will, maybe you won't. It's the strength of your argument sometimes. It's like, God's favor. It's a whole lot of things that are at play, right? So it's not just the condition of your heart. And people may not ever know the condition of your heart. God knows, but people may challenge you on it, whatever. But they're built in checks. So it doesn't mean they'll challenge you. It doesn't mean they'll challenge you on it. They may challenge you on it in their heads. It doesn't mean they'll challenge you, or have an impact on you, whatever. But like, so. But that's the idea, right? So sometimes just because people make a lot of noise doesn't mean they have a valid argument. Just because people are rooting for somebody doesn't mean that person's even good. Like, they may be rooting for them on other purpose, for other grounds. Like, they're rooting for that person because the person makes them feel good about themselves, right? But it doesn't mean the person is, like, actually legitimately better or smarter or any of that type of stuff. Like, and some people don't even root for, like, the person who's, like, the most talented. Some people don't root for the person who's the richest. Some people don't root for the person who's the most, and some people don't even know who the person is who's the richest. Some people don't even know, like, the person may not even be on the radar. You may not even know their names, right? So you might hear, like, the popular person, but the popular person may not be the richest, the wealthiest, or whatever. And it's like, you look at the Forbes list and you're like, oh, I thought this person was the most. I thought this person was the richest. But this person's like 25 or like whatever on the, like, Forbes list, and the person who's like number 1, nobody even knows who that person is, right? That's the idea, right? So, and like, there are people, like, you may think you know them, but you don't really know who they are. You don't really know. You think you know them, but you don't know. But like, so that's the idea, right? So people think they know me, they don't really know me, whatever. So I'm not jumping on nobody's I'm not jumping on nobody's like bandwagon or whatever in that regard. But like when in Rome, like Romans, I'm flexible. How you defeat, I'm flexible. Don't get me wrong. I'm not a buck. Like this is not Kunta Kinte or anything. Chop off my foot. Like no, it's not what I'm saying. But like I'm just saying like there are ways. There's a way it works, and there's certain things that happen in life. Whatever. How much time? Okay, a little bit over an hour. Hour, 9 minutes and some seconds. Okay, so I think so that was one thing I just wanted to say, because I think people were getting confused, right? People were like, okay, like we made these decisions, like if it's two people competing, it seems like 90% of the people are like following this one person. It seems like that doesn't mean 90% of people are following this one person. It just means it seems like they're really really loud, and it's like, well, other 10%, like maybe 5%, maybe 4% are like following the other person, and like 6% are just like neutral or whatever. But like the 4% that are following the other person you don't really know, they may be the most influential. They may have the most wealth. They may just not be saying anything. Because you don't hear doesn't mean they aren't doing everything. Doesn't mean you don't know, right? It's just this 90% of people, or however many people I say, or whatever. I don't remember. But all these, because you have a lot of people who follow this one person, like bigging them up and everything, like it doesn't mean that it only counts for some. I'm not saying popularity doesn't count for much. I'm just saying it only counts for something. Like even electoral college, like the popular vote, you can like win the popular vote and still not be the president. Like the electoral college, you're just like, it's just like, hold on, what's going on here? And like, so like, just because it's like herd mentality and the masses and all that stuff doesn't mean that they like are onto something. It just means, it's popular, it's comfortable, no big deal. So when I say I'm not on a bandwagon, it's not because like it's not personal. It's not like it's not like from some emotional place. No, it's just like no, I know who I am. I get the point of who they are, whatever. But that the fuck they got to do with me? That don't have nothing to do with me. But so that's what I'm saying, right? I'm not like, you're not going to convince me. But I said like, if we keep saying it, like, don't you, no. And then when I start acknowledging people's stories, when I say acknowledge, I don't know why you keep using the two fingers, but acknowledge, but quotation marks. If I acknowledge it, it doesn't mean I'm giving credence to what you're saying. Like, sometimes, like, I guess what people are saying is that using my logic against me, like sometimes to delegitimize something, you actually give it legitimacy. But like when I acknowledge, like sometimes it's like knowledge controlling law. Sometimes, what does it mean by saying knowledge controlling law? It's not controlling law in that sense, but like this is not even controlling law. This is just me acknowledging your story. It's like no good deed goes unpunished. Just because I acknowledge like the stories people are telling, it doesn't mean I'm saying it's credible. I'm not saying it's legitimate, valid, or even has any credence. I'm not saying that. I'm just acknowledging it because I'm fair. I'm acknowledging it because like I have a good heart. I'm acknowledging I'm a good woman. And then people will just like try to stop it in the mid sentence and just like, yeah, I'm going with that. It's like, no, there's more to it. Like there's more to it. Like you're going to take the first half of the sentence and not the second half of the sentence, and that's like annoying as hell. Because then like it's like you can nip it in the bud. Or like, wait for the dust to settle. It's gonna come out the same way. People are like, oh yeah, but if I just like take the money and run, I can flip it real quick and then give her money back and I can keep the like residual, whatever, blah, blah, or whatever. But like they're built in check. So like that gets drawn out. Some people like just like to keep doing whatever. People make different decisions. Ooh. But like, so I think that's it. Like, so people were like, like the person, they're basically trying to say the person is more credible because other people think the other person is more credible. And like if other people think they're more credible, it's like an objective standard, subjective standard, and they think according to the objective standard, the person is subjective standard. So like, they think the only reason that another person wouldn't agree with that person's like existence, it must be from a personal place. Like it must be from a place of like, there's like, oh, you just don't want to give them credit. You just don't want to be fair. Like, no, because the way these people are interpreting it is just not accurate. I mean, I get it. It's like, well, you're just saying it's not accurate because you want to change the law because like you're not favorable. Because if it's not favorable to you, then you want to change the law because because like for whatever reason, like you're changing this because you're just unhappy with the outcome. No, like I had plenty of basketball games. Sometimes when I lose, I win. But even I had plenty of basketball games, and like the scoreboard may have said like whatever, and it's like you shake hands, you go home, no big deal. It's not like I was like, oh my gosh, no. When I say I had a bad game, it was about my personal performance, not about the other people on the floor, right? I never really focused on the people on the floor. Like I can acknowledge when people like play certain types of games, but that wasn't why I was like my individual performance, like in the game, I like, oh, I could have made that shot, or I should have, like, whatever, that's the idea, right? So, but that's it, right? So I think people are, people want to use my logic against me and like what I say against me or whatever. The more I talk, the more I have to continue to talk. But I think that's it, right? So It is an objective standard, it is a subjective standard, whatever, but it's like people assuming that like I don't like a person doesn't meet the objective and subjective standard. No, it's like bitch, I meet the objective and the subjective standard. I don't know, people are just being like people are like just being unreasonable. Like they're focusing like on like this little thing here, this little thing, that like the thing. But some people like they'll focus on what they want to focus on, so to speak, to make themselves feel better. Like I'm not gonna focus on her degree, I'm not gonna focus on this, I'm not gonna focus on that. And this is the second point I was making. I want to focus on this little thing over here, or this little minor thing over here. And really, if they focus on it, if they actually interpret it the way it need to be interpreted, it will be more of a story of victory, right? Adversity, outcome, adversity, and victory. Not that it has to happen over and over again, but they want to focus on just the issue. They don't want to focus on what happened after, like how recovery, and I don't want to call it recovery or rehabilitation or whatever, because there's nothing really wrong with me or whatever. I wasn't a problem, but like they don't want to focus on how like how well I handle those problems, right? They want to focus on the fact that there was a problem, right? And that there was a problem doesn't mean like getting arrested is not getting arrested. I'm just saying, generally speaking, getting arrested is not an indicia, or it's not evidence of guilt. Those words are a bit different or whatever. I don't even want to use the word presumption, inference, or suggestion, right? I don't want to say that because, I know the police make certain decisions, and I'm not against the police or anything like that, but like there are different people in the police force or whatever, you get the idea. But the idea is that like just because you get arrested, it doesn't mean you're guilty of anything, right? A person getting arrested is not necessarily guilty of anything. A person getting arrested may even be innocent, right? It could be a whole lot of things, right? And it doesn't necessarily have to go to trial. There's a whole lot of stuff, right? But sometimes like in the moment things happen a little bit different. But like so I think so my point is just that like people think that certain things are indicative of certain things, and they're not necessarily indicative of the things that people think, right? It's like, oh, it's like, okay, people like to focus on one thing. They don't want to focus on like the whole. They don't want to focus on the whole story. They just want to focus on the thing that is like favorable to them, right? Oh, this is favorable to them. I'm gonna focus on that, but it's like it's much more to the story. And then like journalists and people like that who just like try to spin stuff and like make it like it's just like such it's mangled interpretation. It's not true. It's like it's so far-fetched it almost becomes false, right? But like and it's like not applicable or not accurate, whatever. It's different, like whatever term. But that's the idea, right? So people like are trying to assume like, oh, this person's credible, but like you have a basketball team, like okay, so there's a lot of people like just because okay, so there's Michael Jordan, there's LeBron James, there's Steph Curry, right? There's Kevin Garnett, there's a whole lot of other people. I don't know. I'll just name some other people. But like there's I don't know. There are other people, right? There are other people, on the basketball court, right? I'm just naming kind of current people now or whatever. But just because, I mean, I get it, like, but it's like a toss up sometimes. Like, so people are like, so it's like you hear a lot about certain people or whatever. It's like, well, the more you hear about evidence or whatever, blah, blah, blah. No, but you hear about certain people or whatever. And so you think, like, it doesn't mean that a person lacks credibility, but even the people who are not even, the fact that the people are even on the team, right? These are the people you hear about, like in the NBA or whatever. But there are a whole lot of people like in the NBA. So let's just say like to be in the NBA, I can look it up real quick. But like, what percent, like how good do you have to be, or whatever, what decisions do you have to make to be in the NBA at all, to even be competitive, right? To even play in the NBA, or to even try out or make the first cut or whatever. Like that's a whole lot of and that's a whole lot of people that like, based on how many people maybe want to be professional basketball players at an early age or whatever, and the people that actually make it there, like we're focused on these people who are like the main names or whatever. But the fact that the people are even on the NBA team, or like were even selected, whatever, even if they were like injured, like Randall was injured for a long time, whatever. Or oh my gosh, what's the guy? Oh, what's his name? Chris Webber or whatever. Like there are a lot of people who were like on the I don't. That's so many people. But like, there's so many people who are like on the, people who are on the team, right? People who are on the team who are in the NBA, and people are like, like it's like, bitch, can y'all do better? Not me, but can y'all do better? Because like, I mean, everybody's like talking about like, then they root up other people. It's like, okay, like it's kind of like, try out for the NBA and blah, 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 right? So, but that's the idea, right? So people are like, let's not forget, like, these people, I mean, if you want to say 80-20, let's just say that, like, these people, like, who are, like, on the team, who may play sometimes, may or may not play, even people who don't play on the team, like, who don't play in the game, sorry, they play on the team, but who don't play in the game, right? Even people who don't play in the game, they're still in the NBA, they're still on the NBA team, right? And that's still an accomplishment. So people are like, that's what I'm saying, people are like, forget, okay, they're focused on this, and this, and like, imagine a person who's on the NBA team, like maybe the walk on or whatever. It's like, how much they have to overcome to be the walk on the team, or the person who's on the NBA team who like had certain adversities or whatever, overcame certain adversities, or people was hating on whatever, blah, blah, blah. So people are like trying to focus on like some minor stuff. It's not even like what is the point? What is the point? So, but like, so I think that's the idea, right? So people are like, well, this person's more credible because they set an intent to end the game, they playing in the game, but everybody in is not at, right? Because like there can be people, like there are people who have more credibility in a particular profession that aren't even or in a professional or even jurisdiction who may not have the title, who may not have been doing anything, whatever, and it may be on other grounds. Like it's not a function of competence. Sometimes it's not a function of. And not function like networking, and not function any of that stuff. Sometimes people are so, sometimes it's like, sometimes the person can like be so much better than other people. They're like, okay, just like, whatever. It's just like, whatever. It's that, the people who need to know, what the person is like the best. And it's like, just, for the sake of, like some people, I'm not gonna say throw the game, but some people agree to play another. Some people agree, like some people are no threat, right? No threat, let them in, no big deal, no threat. But some people may be a threat, not in a negative sense, right? But they may be really powerful, maybe really, maybe really talented, whatever. So on other grounds, not because they can't regulate themselves, not because they don't manage appropriately, any other stuff. Like sometimes it's just, it's a tacit understanding that people have, right? So it's a tacit understanding that people have, and so people just kind of like just go with it, whatever, blah blah blah. And maybe they have it, maybe they are actually. Maybe they are like they did accomplish what people don't know if they accomplished or not, and they know it, and the people who need to know it, and they actually did accomplish it, but they're just not cluing the rest of the people in onto it, right? And so everybody else is like, just oh yeah, but like people just don't know, right? People just don't know. So the person has everything. The person has the same reputation, has the same, money, comfort, security, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But people just don't know. Right? And sometimes a person who, like, whatever. But, like, it's like, whoa, you go someplace, well, people respect you, then why do they do this? And people respect you. It's kind of like Pulp Fiction. Like, that movie, it bothered me a lot. But, like, it kind of like Pulp Fiction a little bit. But, like, so. So I think that's it, right? And what I was saying about tying it into it, I guess it was just like, well, so it's the credibility thing, right? Not being a bandwagon. It's not from a personal flaw or anything like that, because I'm an emotionally healthy woman. And I don't want to use those words. Sometimes when you use words, the negative form of the negative, instead of like saying things in the positive, you say it in the negative, people will try to use that word and try to like. Sometimes it's important to just say the word, like to just say it and move on from it. But like try to hold you to like, well, don't you believe in saying the affirmative and not the negative or whatever? And then people try like, people are so whatever. But like in affirmative or whatever, like sometimes you say the word, it's like it doesn't legitimize the word you're saying. I'm just saying it, acknowledging it, and moving on. Like I acknowledge what you're saying in a certain regard, or I'm saying whatever, but it's only for the purposes of negating it, not for the purposes of like saying that it has. That's it. It's for the purposes of negating it. That's it. That's the only purpose. So people like get a little excited, like, oh, she blah blah. It's like all publicity is good publicity, But this, like, what am I saying? Like, I'm saying no. I'm saying it's not. It's like whatever you all have. Like, I'm not saying you all. I'm saying whatever those arguments are, or whatever. I don't even want to call them arguments. Whatever mango type of whatever they're saying. People have there are different types of logic, but like I'm not going to say that that's logic. I'm just saying people are like. I'm just whatever. It's not really significant. I'm just saying it for the purposes of just, just the purposes like laying the foundation and moving on, right? So, but, okay, so I hear what people are saying. It's not going to change my opinion or whatever in that regard, but I am reasonable You know, I learn, I improve, I grow, always have. Nothing. There's not a result of anything that anybody has ever done. Like, oh, we took her through trauma. Oh, we saw. No, bitches didn't put me in the game. Nobody put me in none of that. You know, like I was gonna be strong. I'm strong. That me says, that doesn't kill me, but makes me stronger. It's like, you know, it's like, why do you need to have the strength if like your life is good and you're going through certain, if you're living your life fine, why do you have to prove that you have strength to live your life fine? Like, why do I have to go through shit to prove that I'm like strong enough to go through shit? Like, no fun of that. But like, so, but like, but I get, you know, life is life, but I get the narrative. But like, so I think that I think the thing I was just saying is that like I think sometimes people don't know. People make different decisions, whatever, no big deal. I'm not judging people, but like I'm not. It's not like I understand what people are saying. Like I said, I don't like credit to people for what they did in their lives, right? There's no problem. But it has nothing to do with me. Like I'm an individual. Like I'm not gonna like this is so like no. It's like this is so like, you know, if they can't beat me, then join me. That's the idea. I don't know, see, but that's the idea. But like, you know, this like I'm not about like no, that I'm not like no. One for one, I don't know. I'm just I genuinely, sincerely, I mean, sometimes people will genuinely and sincerely, authentically believe things and it's just bullshit. But like, no, I have a lot of evidence to support why I'm talented, why I'm gifted, why I'm blessed, blah, blah, blah. And just because the person may do something like in one jurisdiction, it's like, oh, this person got an A, you got a B, the person got an A, blah, blah, blah. No, it's not presumptive evidence. There's a whole lot of factors with that, right? Like if I set an intent to get an A and I don't get an A, whatever, and I get a B, no big deal. I'm flexible. But it doesn't mean because the other person got an A, they're smarter or better or whatever. No, it doesn't mean that. It just means like, you know, my B is higher than their A. But I'm not changing, turning it on his head or anything. I'm not trying to like whatever. But I'm just saying, like, you know, that's the idea. Like, if I set an intent, maybe there's certain things that they did, certain things that I did. You arrive at certain things at different points in life, no big deal. But it's not going to change my confidence level, right? Like, on that one point, no, it's not going to change. It's not going to change my confidence level. Yes, grades are indications. I'm just using grades for example. School is good. I believe in getting good grades. You know, grades are indication of things in the areas. There's an objective standard of things with grades and everything. You know, but you know, the rigor of grades is important, you know, but, you know, standardized tests are also something else. Like they're all types of like data points and ways to like triangulate or whatever, or like to like, there are different ways to measure intelligence and strength and creativity and all that type of stuff, right? So, but I've been living long enough, right? I wasn't born yesterday, right? So I've been living long enough that like, oh, I want to, you know, is something going to break me? No. And is something going to convince me of something else? No. It is objective criteria in many regards, but like an A in what? An A on what grounds? A B on what grounds? Like, is it an A because you exercise like the top of your potential and like boom, boom, or like did I get a B because I have more potential, but I only use this part of like I only use 40% of my potential, and so I got a B, but you use 100% of your potential and you got an A, but 100% of your potential is only 20%. 100% of your potential is only 20% of my overall potential, right? So, you know, grades, you know, I understand grades a little bit better, but I'm not, you know, so, you know what I mean? So I'm not making excuses. I'm just saying, like, there's a way it works, right? Some things are true. Some things are, you need a plausible argument. It just depends, right? So, so, you know, some people are like just 1 for 1, blah, 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 1 for 1. Did you make more points? 1 for 1. Like, the name of the game is making points. Yeah, points in what way? Points on what grounds? Points in what regard? Blah, blah, blah. Like, did you make more free throws from the foul line than the other person? And like, sometimes when people, it's important to play the game the way it's intended to be played, but like, we're living on this earth, and I guess, you know, and if you, like, in this moment at this time, if I made more free throw points, made more free throw shots, and people like switch it up, change the game, whatever. Like, and people like, oh no, I was actually making the free throw shots because like even though you were making them, like I was actually thinking through them, or I figured it out, or I saw it in my head, blah blah. I mean, how many answers you want? People will use that to their favor, but when you try to use it, oh no, that's not really blah blah blah. So 1 for 1, whatever. So, but like in that regard, like I always make, it's always like, what is the name of the game, right? So even though people are into the same game, like what intent that people set, and sometimes people intend to win, like, and if you don't make the most points, are you happy with your game? That's the whole point. Like if I make, if I make 10 out of 10 and you make 8 out of 10, and like say I won and you only got 8 out of 10, or whatever, then like, are you happy with your game? Did you like, because you didn't beat, like they didn't beat me, but like, did I play my game the way I intend to be played? Yes. Like, you know what I mean? Did you make more shots? Did one person make more shots than the other person? Maybe, maybe not. But if they did, or if I did, like, okay, like, like, you know what I mean? I mean, because I guess what I'm trying to say is that, like, that's the name of the game, horse. Like, horse. Like, if you win the game, horse, you win the game, horse, whatever. Some people, like, I don't know. It's kind of hard to explain. Like, do I have better finesse? Did I look better when I was doing it? Did you make more points? A whole lot of things, right? Some things are just like, it's like a very, like, you can't really, it's so much more to the game. Like playing the game the way it was intended to play is very important. It's important. Like you should be able to demonstrate you can play the game the way it was intended to be played, and then like you can like vary from there. And I've done that. Like so, but I guess like like people are trying to like do this in a vacuum, right? But I was born in the '80s, right? So it's like I was born in the '80s, so it's like I was born in the '80s, so it's like it is important. Like if that's the name of the game, and you sign up for that game, and your intent is to make the most baskets. Somebody else makes the most baskets. What does that amount? It doesn't amount to the person being. It just means the person made more baskets in that game, right? But what does that mean? Does that change anything? No. Does it change my feeling about myself? Did it change my confidence? No. Like if you're playing the game, most of the time I'm just playing for points anyway. But like so if you're playing the game, like if that's the intent, it doesn't mean you're not good enough now. Maybe, maybe not. Could you be having a bad day? Maybe, maybe not. Like, could you, could you play the game again and be like and win the game when you show up again? Maybe, maybe not. Like, were you a better player all around? Blah 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 blah. There's a whole lot of stuff, right? And so people are like, what's the answer? People make difference in boom. But like. But like in most jurisdictions, in most things, like people are like in most like things that are arts or whatever, it's like one for one is a person better. Like no, I mean no, I'm not even a person may be like I don't know how to explain it, but I'm never going to like she's in denial or she's like or she doesn't want to admit it, willful ignorance. No, like no. Yeah, you're not. It doesn't change my internal constitution. I'm not going to think the person was better than me. No, are the people who like play basketball at a certain level or play basketball in certain ways, or people who model certain ways? It depends on the name of the sport too. It depends on the essence of the sport, the name of like the sport or the game. It depends on also your age and experience and stuff like how you interpret certain things. So there's a whole lot of things because some people are probably not even paying attention to the people on the basketball, paying attention to the coach, some people paying attention to the people on the bench, blah blah blah. There's a whole lot of things going on. But this is like a function of age or whatever. But like and so like if people want you to say something, like they want you to say something, just say it. No, bitch, you just say it. What am I telling them? But like so I think that's so yeah, so I think that's it. So one for one, no. We graded no. There's some variation with grading. There's some variation with and a lot of things are fact specific, right? When I say you put it in a vacuum, it just means like people are trying to like say one for one. Like a person who, not make excuses for anybody, but like say someone is like, like the person who graduated from like school and she was like 100 or something or 90 something, I don't really know, right? So the people get older and dumber, the people get quicker as they get older, crystallized knowledge, IQ knowledge. Like people are trying to say stuff like in a vacuum, like, but there's so many variables where I can't like, you want me to like investigate all the variables at this time, right? So like, okay, so like if I'm running a race, whatever, get the idea. But like but like I guess that's the idea, right? It was like, well, if you do something over and over again, should you improve at it? Should you get better at it? Blah, blah, blah. How you know a person's improving? How you know a person's getting better? Is it good to maintain? Whatever. Like, if you were able to like wrap like 10 packages and like, 10 days. Like you should be able to wrap 10 packages in like 4 days if you're like 20. I mean, if you've done it for 20 years, but which way is that really cut? And like, what's the equivalent? Some things are equal, some things are equivalent, some things, whatever. This is something that fact specific, blah, blah, blah. I don't want to go through all of it, but that's the idea. So it's like, I don't really know how to explain it, but like people are, people won't say, because they want me to like, explain what I'm thinking, blah blah blah, because they can't figure it out. Blah, blah. So anyway, so that's the idea. So one thing is that one thing is that like, so people try to understand like why I'm okay. And like, cause people look at my life and they see you, and sometimes people see at one point in your life and they'll think that's the whole sum of your life, because they don't know you. They don't know what you did prior to like seeing them. They don't know what. And sometimes people hear shit and they were like, oh yeah, I figured it out. Like you said, if you've seen one, you've seen them all type of thing. But like, like I said, trailblazers, people change the game, stuff like that. And they think like, well, I know where that's going, or blah blah, or I've been doing this for a long time, blah blah. No, that's not always true. Like sometimes, sometimes it is, sometimes it's not. Right? But people in the game, blah blah blah. It's like sometimes you just don't expect. You just never know, right? So even though, generally there are some general things, right? But sometimes people, people, it's like, people like there's always you always put somebody in the matrix, like, oh, I wasn't expecting it, so that's the idea, right? So people, sometimes people will not understand how you have peace and comfort and security and confidence in your life, especially if they see you at one point in your life where they heard certain things about you, or they listen to other people's bullshit about you, or they didn't do their research or whatever, or they, whatever, or from their own perspective in life, and they think, oh yeah, I figured it out, I think I know, or they think they know me, or they think they know who I am or whatever, but they don't know me. You don't know me, you don't know who I am. Like, because you see me one day, like at the grocery store and it's hot and shit, like, oh yeah, I figured it out, like her hair looks disheveled, like, oh yeah, blah, 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 bitch. But no, I never been a bum bitch, blah, blah. And it's like, how much, like, how am I, like, what am I doing, how am I living my life, right? How am I living my life? How hard do I work? How smart do I work? What's my reputation, blah, blah, blah. And people think, well, oh, your reputation, blah, blah, blah. Like, I heard this one time, it takes, like, a lifetime to build a reputation, and, like, one thing doesn't bring it down. It's some bullshit, especially if you believe in God. God rehabilitates, and you can rehabilitate yourself. People go to prison and go to jail, come back out and come out, you're like, oh my gosh, like, you would never even know, right? So people are able to, it's not getting brand new, it's not that stuff. You live and you learn. Like, you act like people can't get better. People can get better. People can maintain. People can get better. It's like a whole lot of stuff, right? So okay, I'm gonna go ahead and end this soon. But like, so I think that like people should like not jump the gun, and whatever, take it for what it's worth. I'm just a human being, whatever. But like, people think that like, sorry, sometimes loud in the city when sirens going off and stuff. But like, so sometimes people think that like they sometimes people think that think that they know everything because whatever they figured out in the past, but they don't. Like, people change the game all the time. Like, people may get it right enough of the time, they get it right all the time. I don't know, like, investigate your own life and take into consideration, did the person get it right all the time? If you don't get it right all the time, how do you make peace with it? Like, kind of apply to yourself, whatever. And so like, so I think that's it. Like, people sometimes like, they look at you, they try to judge a book by its cover, or I don't really want to use that word because it's loaded now. People kind of try to co-op stuff or whatever, but like, sometimes people think they figured it out because like, they think based on what they think they can assess you by looking at you, or they think they know you by like, cause a lot of people don't pay for everything. Like, they just like get whatever's free, and it's like they do the free stuff, and it's, oh yeah, I figured it out, and they gamble on the free stuff. It's like, no, there's a whole what's it called, library, like in Alexandria. I forget what was his name. I forget. What is it? I don't know. I'm maybe putting things together, but like Alexander the Great or whatever. But like, they burn books and stuff like that. I'm not saying you have to read books in the traditional sense, right? The audio books, all that stuff. People learn in a lot of different ways, music, TV, all that stuff. But like, I'm just saying, like, just because you it's a whole lot of things. Just because you hear things doesn't, or hear somebody's name all the time doesn't mean they're most popular. Just because you hear somebody's name all the time doesn't mean they're the most reputable. Just because they may like have been on the radar for a little while doesn't mean they know more than somebody who's coming up who you don't know, and doesn't mean they know more than someone who may have already been in existence, but you just didn't know what they were doing. Doesn't mean that they are no more or are more credible than a person who's kind of had challenges throughout their life, because the challenge is not always an indication of someone's competence, strength, or intelligence, or wealth, or attractiveness. Sometimes it's counterintuitive. Like the reason people have so many problems is because they have all those things. Some people who are like there's no risk. People like them because they're no threat or whatever. They don't have any problems, right? I mean, it's just one way of it's like people are like, okay, no big deal. Pass and pass. They give them one move, no big deal. But the people who are like, it's not about breaking the bow. But people who are sometimes people are fighters or I don't mean threat in negative sense, but people who are actually who people people like may have like some type of people whatever people may whatever because they are blessed or whatever, they have more challenges, or having a challenge or whatever, overcoming a challenge, not an indication of being like so it doesn't an indication the person is making mistakes, or the person like is none of that, like so, or the person is none of that. Like a person can be competent and like all those good things because they because people don't because people feel some type of way. I don't want to say it's a visceral reaction. It's not really the right word, whatever. It's not if she's gonna be a shit, whatever. But none of that stuff. If you say these things, people will try to take it and run. Like, oh, I just want to run. But no. Sometimes people are just so great that people they just get challenged. And in the church, they say your testimony, right? And they say when you're doing good things, when the devil will send the devil will send like attacks or whatever when you're on your game, right? If you're not doing nothing, the devil's cool. It's like this person is doing nothing, no big deal. Ooh, moving on. But like when you're on your game and you're doing spiritual warfare and you're a threat to the enemy, and your favorite, God favors you, and you're promoted the kingdom of God and everything. I don't want to use the word promoted because people think that's like a commercial term, but when you're like, it's like when you're spiritual warfare for the kingdom of God, then it's like people will, the enemy, sorry, people will try to enemy, whatever. People sometimes the enemy working through people will try to attack you, right? So just because you have problems doesn't mean that you've done anything wrong. It just means, sometimes that's not even it. So like, why do I have confidence about it? I know the things that happen to me are not a reflection of anything. Like I take responsibility for my actions and everything. I know I'm a human being or whatever, but because I know the enemy has just been attacking me, no big deal. Sometimes he uses people, whatever, no big deal. But I know that I'm favored, I'm called, God called me, I'm blessed, I know I'm highly favored. And those times when things happen that I feel like, it's like, what I mean, they try to, if they try, like, it's like you disrespecting yourself. Like when people try to come up, it's like they disrespect themselves, whatever. But it's the way it works, they build a chest, like, see how long it takes to figure it out, blah, 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 no big deal. But like, that's the idea, right? So just because a person has all these things or whatever in their life, it doesn't mean, like, I just know enough about the world, I know enough about life. I'm not taking anything away from them from their accomplishment, but I know enough about the world, I know enough about life. I have enough spiritual maturity, emotional maturity to know that, like, there's no reason for me to, that I have every reason to feel confident in myself, every reason to be confident in who I am. Not just because of, like, all the things, like, my spiritual, emotional, mental, physical, like health, wealth, spirituality, and everything, and strength, but like I think not just because of that, but because like early in my life I've been working my entire life. I worked early in my life, whatever, and I continue to work in my life, right? So it's also from the things that I've done proactively, not because like defeat anybody, like anybody's trap games like that. Men and females are different, and men do things for different reasons than females a lot of times. So like, men usually, it's usually about, I don't know, maybe it's about love, probably with certain types of men. With females, sometimes it's about hate, I'm not really sure. But I have no reason to I know that the struggles were because the devil was testing me, because I'm called from God, and that's why I have like my inner peace. And it's like people are like, well, go to church, you can't handle it. No, like I am sincerely, spiritually like connected to God. Like sincerely, it's a sincerely held belief. It's my sincerely held belief, and it's been good as a tool for navigating life. And if you aren't a Christian, you don't have, like, you have something else probably, but you can't understand who I am or why I made the decisions I made or why I'm confident in who I am. So no matter what anybody else has done or wherever anybody else is, it's good for them. Like, cool. No big deal, but it has no bearing on who I am. It has no Like, I'm an individual, right? I'm confident in who I am. My talents. That early in life, I accomplished a lot. Like it was obvious that even when I didn't try to do things, like people just were drawn to me. People were drawn to me. People wanted me to lead. People wanted me to pointed me into like leadership positions, all those types of things. Like it's just sometimes I say no thank you. You know what I mean? So I've always been well liked. I've always been well loved. All those types of things. Like it's just come to me naturally. It has just come to me naturally. But I just I chose to discipline myself and to make it a skill and to make it an art. People make different decisions. No big deal. So that's it. And then, so the credibility thing, whatever, blah, blah, blah. So, why I'm not on the bandwagon with other people, why I'm sincerely confident in myself, why I don't compare myself to other people and stuff like that. So that's it. And so people are like, and it's, I choose, me being a leader is God created me a leader. Like some people follow, a leader is actually a servant, right? So that's like, I'm following God. As I follow God, I'm following God, right? So, and there's a hierarchy in terms of following God, and as a woman follows God, if a woman is married, I follow God, and then when I mean hierarchy, just mean whoever the man is in my life, right? My husband. So as my husband follows God, then then I am it's about my husband and God, right? But if my husband follows God, then I am in communion with my husband, as in relation to God. But I think that I don't mean anybody else, right? But okay, so there's a way it works in relationship, so that's it. I think the other thing I wanted to just briefly say is that, like, I guess it's like, well, if I accomplished these things, so I guess that was the connection, right? So people think, well, like, who's the most credible or whatever. And it's like, well, how do you determine who's the most credible, right? So I explain that why, like, I get it, like, the people are their objectives to understand it about who's credible and, like, why a person, like, the incumbent and the challenger or whatever, why I don't jump on the bandwagon with other people because I'm genuinely confident. I was just explaining to people why I'm genuinely confident and why do people challenge me, the other part was why do people challenge me on whether or not I'm genuinely confident, and people challenge me on my accomplishments, those types of things. Like, I think it's like, well, people try to say, like, well, maybe it's BS because they don't believe it. If it's not BS, and then, like, I work for it, it's like, okay, we assume you work for it, blah, blah, blah. And if it's not BS and I work for it, it's like, why did I choose to live the life I live? Am I wealthy? Or whatever, how am I living? And if, like, it challenged me on, like, whether it's my decision to live a middle-class lifestyle, if I'm talented enough to be a billionaire, right? And if I'm talented enough to be a billionaire, I would choose to live like a middle-class lifestyle, whatever type of lifestyle, whatever, or have a certain income. And people will say, well, because they're built in checks, even though they're competing interests, right? Their interests of, who's doing a challenge or whatever, they're competing interests. If you're ever called by God, you have to be called, you're called by God. God calls me, right? Or I'm called from God, whatever. But like, so, in the challenge or whatever, if there's a challenge or whatever, why am I confident that if there are other people who are like trying to challenge me and try to try to act like they know better or they figured it out or whatever, and why I'm confident that there's nothing wrong with the way I was, there's nothing wrong with the way I am. You live and you learn, you grow, whatever, and things like that. So like, it's BS that it has to be a challenge, and like, if there's BS, it has to be a challenge, and if there's a challenge, it's BS that it has to be like traumatic. It's BS that people have to set up all these games. It's BS that people like try to do different things to make money and try to justify it, right? Because they are competing interests. There is like a way that it works or whatever, but like people try to get in and do things whatever that's not really within the meaning of the law. But it's like what is that movie? It's like when it's like there can be mayhem for one day. It's like, oh, someone goes like, oh, whatever, it's a free fall for everybody, blah, blah, blah. But that's the idea. So at the challenge point or whatever, so at the challenge point, if I defeat it, if I win, it's like to keep getting challenged over and over, I think it's a problem, right? And it's like nobody, like, I get it. Sometimes people like try to make people compete or whatever, but that's not like, and why I'm never convinced that anybody against whom, like, no one is ever going to change my internal constitution about what I believe about myself. I don't care if people say, like, it's not willful ignorance, it's not denial, because people are trying to take, like, most times people who are saying these things are just trying to, like say, well, do you know the interest, right? They use somebody's name name, or they use like somebody's idea or whatever. They try to make it like, they think that if you use somebody's name, that it's going to make somebody have an emotional reaction, so it'll cement the learning. No, this is BS. Like, no, this is ridiculous. And like the thing is, if you hear something over and over again, they'll help you be convinced. No, I have strength. Like I'm never going to be convinced. Or they think if you hear something over and over again, they give somebody else credit for your work, that like you're going to like, no, I'm never going to buy into that. No, never, never, never. Because like I write my own material. I do all my own stunts. I think for myself. I'm an individual, like whatever. And just because you hear certain things and people try to say, like, you trying to paint over my name doesn't mean that you actually did it. Like, I am Antoinette Yvonne Jefferson. Don't forget it, bitches. So like it's not like, it's not like they're, like you hear something else, doesn't mean they try to like, no. And just because somebody else thinks that somebody, like, just because the other people have opinions and they like somebody else better doesn't mean that they're telling a more compelling story. No, it's just like that's what they think. Or maybe because like they be on the scene longer or whatever, blah blah. Nope, no big deal, right? And it's like when I'm going through this challenge, they're like, well, like pit her against this person, or pit her against that person, pit her against this person, whatever. And then like no matter what I do, I guess the extent of like trying to like prove like that I am an original, or prove that I am who I say I am, like just keep saying the other person's name and keep saying this and keep saying that, and like how good am I identifying what that person's interest is, or what story that is, what story is being told by the other person, and like how aware am I of other people and all that other stuff, right? And it's like, well, how do I really know? It's like, oh, refocus or essence, laws, rules, blah blah. But like so that's the idea, right? But like no matter who, I don't care who the person is, I give credit for them in their own lives, but it's not going to change what I do in my own life. I think for myself, right? All my accomplishments are my own. I read my own books, I analyze my own material, I interpret, I'm skilled. I took classes, but even though God was teaching me, even though I took classes, incredibly people make different decisions, right? I discipline myself, I work my core, I did all the things, I wash my clothes, I wash my dishes, I pay my rent. I don't know, this is like basic shit. Now I'm not even talking about the art, this is just basic shit. Sometimes people think like they don't know how you living, so they're like, oh yeah, oh no. It's like, this shit is just ridiculous now. Like, I'm a grown ass woman. I don't know how other people are living. I'm a grown ass woman. So anyway, but like, I do all my stuff, right? When I say that's like a term and like I do all my own stuff, like I'm like, whatever, I am who I am, right? So like I've taken voice lessons, not a lot of voice lessons, but I have a natural voice, but then I take voice lessons, maybe for a few months, whatever. I'm autodidact. I teach myself, right? I started teaching myself with the guitar or whatever, but like then I went to a guitar teacher. I read music, I have to like refresh my recollection on certain things. Like I have to remember certain things, but I read sheet music. How many languages do I speak? Like I studied Spanish, like I was on the track team, so there was track practice, hours and hours or whatever. But like, I'm on the basketball team, weightlifting on the basketball team, drills on the basketball team, defensive drills, offensive drills, ball handling drills, whatever. I taught myself, and the people there doesn't mean they're actually doing a strongman, whatever, and so on and so forth. But like, so we're like, oh, strongman, from God, what am I responding? Like, it's me, it's internally, what I'm hearing, what I'm seeing, whatever, but a whole lot of stuff. But like, so. But like, drawing, like I was naturally talented at drawing. I still take drawing classes or whatever, blah, 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 blah. So like, I've done all these things. So like, I'm very like confident in my skills as a function of like what I learned, but you don't have to go through trauma. You don't have to defeat trauma and all that stuff I'm not saying it's wrong or bad. People make different decisions, but like, you don't have to do those things just to prove that you have skill and talent, right? You can have skill and talent without like kind of like having certain experience that other people have. Like, what do Black people respect? What do different people respect? It just depends, right? But people try to subject you to the things that they went through because they went through those things, like whatever. Okay, but like, so I think that handle either way or whatever, handle blah blah blah. But like, I think so that's the challenge, right? So the point is that even if like I've done it, I proved that I did the hard way, whatever way, the right way, whatever, the right way. I did. They can't say it's BS. I did it the right way. I'm just very accomplished, achieved, and talented and everything. And it's like, okay, just worst case scenario, there's a challenge. Okay, there's a challenge, but like, it's like, okay, at that point, it's a challenge, and I defeat the challenge. And it's like, well, I have so much to defend. It's like, now I'm trying to remember this, and it's like, what's undergirding all that? Okay, so you have all the talent and skill, but do you have strength? You have all the talent and skill, but do you have how smart are you about the world? So you have all this stuff. So then it's not about like the actual like evidence of the accomplishments. It's about what's the undergirding like basis of like what's the condition of my heart, I guess. What's the condition of my heart, and what's the as I and what I have been doing, what's my motivation, what's condition my heart, right? So it's like challenge. But there's an extent to challenge, and this is something that people go through in their 30s. Like what they say, your careers, you make a lot of, in career, in 30s, you're establishing your career, whatever, you retire about 65 or whatever. So like, it's like, basically, so you're reading the books on, human behavior, development and stuff like that. They're stages of life. These are the stages of life. But sometimes, people may try to challenge you or whatever, and people may try to they try to get a rise out of you or whatever and see how you respond to it, right? Like, use somebody's name, maybe, people don't learn unless they're emotional. No, you can learn without being emotional. You can be proactive, pro-social, you can put in the work, you can, maybe procrastinate, maybe not, but, you can put in the work, right? And, get the same type of outcomes. Like, I know they say you remember the things, that, have the, you remember things that are consequential more than you remember things that are, victories, maybe not, sometimes to a certain extent, sometimes not, it just depends. But is it necessary? Maybe not. I'm not overly ambitious, not greedy or gluttonous or whatever. My life is cool. But so everything I've done, the men in my life, blah, blah. But okay, but so I mean, I'll marry myself for God. It's for God, but God, what is God's God's intent for man and woman. Okay, so people make different decisions. I get it, people make different decisions. But so that's it. So what's the point? The point is challenge, and the point is just because there's a challenge, and there are people who maybe people have heard the name in a long time or the idea of the person or whatever for a while. Just because you ever heard my name doesn't mean I'm not the best, right? It just means you may have never heard my name, or you just don't know who I am, you just don't remember or whatever. So just because you keep trying to a person may try to use something else as I don't know, a metaphor or whatever, or use it as a I don't know, whatever. Use it for whatever reason or for whatever purpose. It doesn't mean it doesn't really have any value. Whether or not I hear that or do that, I know they understand this is life. Welcome to your life, whatever. But I understand people make different decisions, and it doesn't mean it doesn't have any value to me. All I'm saying is there's nothing wrong with the way I was already. So all I'm doing is restating the same shit for you all over. All over again, but whatever. But because it's who doesn't know? I know it's not different. I know. It's everybody. It's there are a lot of people who know. So it's I don't know why they didn't send around a memo. I'm not really sure. People who knew, maybe they kept it to themselves because there was a lot of money in it. I'm not really sure. But it's what is the memo? How widespread does the memo have to be for people to stop whatever, submitting the person to challenge, you signed up for blah blah. Signed up for what? You can leave if you want to. We'll move on. But you can leave if you want. Or want to. Okay, so but I think that's it. So if there's a challenge or whatever. So the thing is, I'm comfortable with myself. I'm accomplished and whatever, everything. And to the extent that there were some things that people may say, well, how can she be comfortable with her life, or good with her life, or content with her life, and those type of things. I explained it's my spiritual, emotional, mental strength. Health, wealth, wellness, spirituality, those types of things. I'm not saying I don't, I'm not saying, in terms of the things that I've used to overcome certain things, right? That's how I made sense of it. People think it's people can't understand it. If you're not me, maybe you don't understand it, but people can get the idea because they're built in checks, whatever. So, other people in the world have spiritual beliefs, they understand how spirituality works. So that's it. And I've accomplished early in my life. I have discipline. No, if you will. Sorry, sometimes there's this energy that the devil will try to attack me, and the devil will try to make me think that I'll will try to make me think if it's easy for the devil to try to manipulate my energy, he'll try to convince me of my strength. Well, God is so strong, blah blah blah. But the devil's a liar. Okay, but I think that's it. So anyway, the point is that so the point is just that I'm gonna have to cut that out. But the point is just that so the point is just that right. So the point is just that if I'm because I think sometimes when I'm time is an issue, right? So I have to so when it's a time issue, and sometimes when I get to the height of the money, the devil will try to do something to try to make me think a certain way about the money. But it's like, it's still my money. Nobody can get it, blah, blah, blah. But people think, I don't know, people do stupid shit. I don't know, it's annoying as hell. But like, okay, so, but like, it's like, why does it bother you? You know, it's stupid as hell. Why does it bother you? Like, whatever. It's like, there's something I have to like, I just know intellectually it's stupid as hell. I know it has no substance, it has no value or whatever. But like, for whatever reason, I have to like whatever. There's a way it works to kind of like, you know, figure out all the minutia. Okay, so, but like, okay, but like the idea, and so she still love me, I love it. But like the idea is just that and it's natural. I think it's natural for a man and woman to be together. That's what I think. So and that's how I am. Like, I'm naturally, I love men. So, but I think that like, I just wanted to like conclude. I'm getting to the concluding point. So like the point is just that if I think that so like if people try to use somebody like something else to try to like challenge me on whether or not I've accomplished what I've accomplished as a like, that's really a very, I mean, I get it, like to get me to like express or explain or talk or whatever, but like it's not going to, or like say things like they like, where she, you know, she like, I'm like, she's like, I'm keeping to myself and people don't know everything I know, whatever, the belt and checks. But like if they're trying to use other people, like using other people is not going to change anything. It's not going to convince me of anything because I know my worth and I know my value. So I don't care if everybody else is like believes in whatever, you know, believes in like some type of fairy. I'm not gonna believe in it because like I just don't. But like and it has no value. It has no value to me. It's not gonna like it's not nothing. I crystallize my own knowledge, bro. You know what I do personally, individually, whatever. And like I'm not a petty bitch. So but like so that's it. So but like I think that so people couldn't understand why I had such strength, like even though I had certain challenges or whatever in my life. But like your test creates your testimony. I'm not saying it's okay to keep testing people, whatever, but like, you know, you live and you learn. So the things that I went through and people were like, oh, now I know how to play and the devil's a liar. But like, so now I like, so that's, but I guess I had to explain like why I have peace of mind through my experiences and like why it was a flaw in people's logic to only focus on two or three things here. It's like, it's bigger than that. It's like 20 years old. I get the point, but they're focusing on the mind. Like you know, it's a whole lot of stuff. Like to the extent there were problems, I overcame all those problems. And like, what was I doing from, you know, 0 to 12, 0 to 21, whatever. Like, so all the things that I was doing, all those, I already like set the foundation. I was already like accomplished, and no, it wasn't about no other nobody else. Like it wasn't like, you know, it's like, well, if you're a kid, no. And I already said this, I'm an individual. Even at an early age, I'm an individual, and God creates. Like parents, I get the point, they're a pair for rent, but God creates, right? And so I've always been an individual. And if you have kids or been around kids, you know kids are individuals. Like, you know, they're not just like mindless things walking around. Like, you've ever been around kids, you know they think for themselves. And so, you know, and if you fuck up, you know, like a lot of like parents, like they have to do their job. If they fuck up, they know like they're built-in checks and shit that happens, right? So you have to do your job, right? But your job doesn't mean you're thinking for the kid. It means you're doing your job, and the kid is doing his job or whatever. And so like that's the way it works. But like sometimes kids save parents. Like kids, like the fact of their birth, they save like people or whatever. So anyway, but like so it's like, who created kids? Did I create myself? Did God create me? And how did that work or whatever? So and especially if your parents, like people have had abortions, like how did a person overcome like being aborted and then being like, you know, whatever. So but like okay, but like but that's the idea, right? No, I don't like, if I'm the incumbent or whatever, people challenge me on whatever domain, it's like, you know, just do one thing, only challenge you one time, move on, have to defend, blah, blah, blah. But like, you know, to challenge me in different domains, a lot of artists, like Chris Brown's an artist in a certain way, Kanye West, they do a lot of different things or whatever. And a lot of like some other people in the industry too do like a lot of different things or whatever. And so, but, so I think that, you know, the idea is like, so what's the point? The point is just that like, the idea is like at the point that like, so the point is two like things going here and they getting right here to the point, right to the middle. So like the challenge me, if they don't know if I did it, and the point is like, okay, they can't rule it out. It's not BS. I actually earned it the legitimate way, you know. And they challenge, and you know, it's all me or whatever. They challenge me on it, whatever. They challenge me on it. How do they challenge me on it? That's when we get over here. They challenge me on it by like trying to punch holes in it. Like they challenge me on it by saying, okay, well you did all these great things. What about this thing that like seems like a challenge, blah blah blah? How you refute that? Testimonies. Good heart. I have a good heart. Good woman. Whatever. And and I have a good heart. I'm a good woman, and like the devil was just testing me, right? Because sometimes the people who are the biggest threats, not in a bad sense, like not criminal or anything like that, but like in like the sense like the person who like people have a certain type of people, whatever, like like kind of superheroes, like Superman, reactions or whatever. Superman, there's a lot of villains. Superman's the bad guy. There's a lot of villains in Superman. Like, he's not a bad guy, whatever. So that's the idea. So how they challenge me, so they try to punch holes in, like, my accomplishments by looking at things that seem like challenges. That's one thing. But if I overcome those challenges, fine. And then they try to punch holes in by saying, oh, you overcame them, but are you content? Are you happy with life? Are you, like, they're trying to use my emotions as an indication of, like, of my success or whatever, of my, like, whatever, of how, like, well or the authenticity of my accomplishments. And it's like, okay, so in terms of like my emotional well-being, like, people go through emotions and stuff like that. It doesn't mean like if I yell, scream, whatever, that's not an indication of whether or not, like, sometimes it's appropriate to yell, scream, whatever. Well, I don't really yell, scream, but you get the idea of powerful people, whatever. But like, if I like you challenge me on that, that's where emotional strength, that's where spiritual strength, that's where all of that, like discipline, all those things come into play, right? Usually I'm calm and collected and all those types of things. So that's good, right? But to have emotions and express those emotions, there's a whole like range of emotions that a person can or should express. Being logical, I'm not saying like the more logical you are, maybe the less like you can still be emotive, but just not inappropriately emotive, right? So then, okay, so you can't punch holes. Like, if you try to punch holes by saying, well, these types of things, you can't really punch holes in it because I've actually overcome those things. So that actually goes to my strength. Emotionally, you can't punch holes in it because there's evidence. There's a lot of evidence on spiritual strength. Like, you can just use, okay, the fact that I go to church, okay, that's one thing. Okay, the fact that do you know if I pray or not? There's enough evidence to have quoted enough scriptures. You get it, whatever. And I put a lot of work into just other things. You know what I mean? The people just straw man. I did the work myself, journaling, whatever. It's a whole lot of stuff that I've done to have peace. Yoga may be one thing. Dancing, art. Like, art is also a therapy. Music is a therapy. Also, I've done a lot of things to like calm things in my like, it may, sometimes, do I have to live with a thorn in my side? I don't mean people set me up my entire life. It just means like, I manage, right? I manage. Like, there are different types of medicines, so to speak, and there are different types of like healing modalities or whatever, and treatment, whatever. But like, so, in terms of like things that one can give themselves, right? So like, you take an aspirin for a headache, but some people don't. Some people drink water for a headache. Some people rest if they have a headache. Some people cook a meal if they have a headache and stuff like that. You get the idea. So, but like that, so, because that's, all this stuff comes from the earth, whatever. Some people, like, people do different things, make different decisions. Like, there's no adopted kids here. I'm a grown ass woman. So, but like, so I think so emotionally they try to use it as a proxy, and they try to use it, whatever, as a proxy. And then I guess, are you living at your potential? Maybe they try to use it as a proxy too. And what does that mean? Living at your potential in what regard, on what grounds, or whatever? Because you're living your potential, just assume I'm living in my potential, whatever, or living comfortably, or living in a certain way that gives to the world, that makes a contribution to the world. I make a contribution to the world, right? I make a contribution through my artistic creations or my knowledge product, my intellectual property, whatever. I make a contribution to the world that is consistent with God's call on my life. Cool. And it's like, okay, well then the last thing I think would be, I think that's it, right? Maybe this is like, let's take all this by objective and subjective standards. I think it was one other thing, potential, and then, how comfortable is my life? Like, how comfortable with life am I living, like, materially? How comfortable is my life in terms of objective standards and subjective standards? How comfortable am I, like, my place, my car, all that stuff? And objectively, how comfortable is my life in terms of, like, most people's standards for, like, a college-educated individual, right? So, and I have car place, whatever, but no. And so let's say all those things and say, like, well, am I like, and it's like, and I'm young, right? I'm still young, so I can still like move, grow, and mature, right? Not, whatever, get greater, think I can, continue to achieve, increase income and all this wealth and all that type of thing, right? So whatever. So I think that's it. Like, feel like, can you, like, do you get more money as you age or whatever? People just being stupid. Like, I don't even want to go into that. But like, so I think that's it. So like, did I accomplish it? Not assuming I accomplished it. Did it the hard way, challenge, prove like through all the like whatever those four prongs, like living to potential, income, happiness, or like whatever, and or like contentment, and then I don't want to say happiness, but contentment, and then gosh, I'm actually writing the law kind of right now. Contentment, and then like and then contentment, and then what's the biggest one? Oh, like anything that are challenges, right? That may seem like demerits, that aren't really demerits, right? But that seem like are challenges or whatever, blah blah blah. So, but but like that's the idea. So if I can prove, let's just like, I mean, there's evidence for all those things. I don't have to go through all of it right now, but like prove all those things. And so people, and how do people try to prove those things? Maybe they try to use a proxy, like other people's lives or whatever, however they think people usually think about life, for psychology or whatever, those types of things, like, and like try to test people's emotions and characters and stuff like that. So they may use person or an idea or whatever, because Jesus like a person. Let me say, my name Jesus, call me Jesus. Jesus like G Shuttlesworth, you know what I mean? So they may use like an idea or a person or proxy, whatever, for whatever that is, age-old story, right? No big deal, to try to test a person on those things, on their emotions, to try to test them on like how they make sense of like whatever challenge they have in their life, they make sense of the potential that a person may or may not have experienced, and how they try to make sense of whether or not a person has a proper income or comfort in life, or get it, right? So this is the idea, right? So this is the idea, and they use like these types of tools. The person is not the tool, but maybe the idea. I'm not saying the person is like, there's not that, because names didn't really start with. I mean, they didn't really start with people, I guess, so to speak. So a person, like, there are a lot of people who have the same names, right? There are a lot of Tonys, there are a lot of Aaron's, there are a lot of like different people, right? There are a lot of Dominiques, there are a lot of Moseses, there are a lot of different people, right? There are a lot of Erics, Derek's, Mikes, whatever. So it's like, does it represent? Because it's like it represents an idea. It doesn't mean that person is any type of thing. Some people are involved, some people are not involved, blah blah blah, jurisdiction, blah blah. You get the idea, right? So, but a lot of Sams, a lot of Jeffs, blah blah. You get the idea. But like so. So that's the idea, right? So they use this type of like persons, ideas, names, whatever, as reference points or whatever, to try to be a proxy for how people make sense of these things, to assess the challenge, right? Assess the authenticity, not really the authenticity of a person, but whatever. You can use it. I'm just using that very generically because they know the person is like authentic. What does authentic mean? But like they like to test a person on, like, I guess maybe kind of their level. I'm not really sure, but test a person because like it's not, for whatever reason, like honesty has never been my issue, sincerity has never been my issue, genuineness has never been my issue, authenticity has never been my issue. But I guess whatever the test is, like people are testing different things. I don't really know. Let's just say this is God, right? But like this is like how the world works. I'm not really sure, but like let's just say this is the world. This is how God operates, and you live and you learn. You understand how God operates or whatever, and everything. All this stuff is just microcosms or like peons or like pawns or like just like minutia, whatever. People are like, well, we figured this out when we were 7, blah blah. I'm sure not to this extent. I'm sure people who are not as articulate about it. I'm sure people are not as detailed about it. I'm sure even if people get it, they're not able to articulate in a way that I am articulating it now. I'm pretty sure about that. So it's like even if you did certain things, like you understood the stuff like earlier in life, the extent of your ability to explain and the extent of your ability to understand, organize, all this type of stuff is a function also of like the things that you did, like your reading and your like studying and all this type of stuff. I mean, some people say you believe if you want, whatever, but this is how I am making sense of it. My belief, there's a truth with a capital T, and as I continue to grow and learn, I understand. I just have a certain intuitive knowing and confidence about it, right? Because like I don't know, I talk like people. I don't know if people talk like this, like at all, or it's other people, or like I know some people talking sound about like, oh, I get it, blah blah blah. But if you ask them to explain it, would they be able to explain it? Because they may know it in some ways, but would they be able to explain it? I'm not really sure that we would do that. It's like, why do people go to law school? Like people think, oh, I create all over, but like, is it like certain things that require more skill? Like if you ask, whatever. But if you've done something, does that mean you can like perform like open heart surgery on somebody, like from like kind of just catching like messages or tunes in the air? Like probably not. I don't know. Maybe some people could, but probably not. And that means you're maybe favored or talented from God or whatever. But with the average person, probably not. So So yeah, so this is like the stuff, other people like, people like trying to like test you on shit, like, you made like, they're just tools, right? The idea is just tools or whatever. And like, just because they're tools or ideas, like you figure it out, so on and so forth. It's a bit of an annoyance in the beginning, it's like, what the fuck's going on here? Like, but like, in the, I'm not saying it's okay to do it or anything. I'm not saying it's okay, but I think the fact that I think some people are like, saying they for different reasons, like do they really believe in like that believe or like for that particular person that idea and stuff? No, not necessarily. But like, are they playing against like the other person who's coming up, like to make them prove it or make them defend it? Like, it's not like the jury, it's not even jury of peers, like popular vote, not even popular vote, but like, like what is it, try them in the court of public opinion and stuff like that, whatever. It's a whole lot of stuff, like there's all it's like bullshit in a lot of regards, but whatever. But it's like horse and pony show, but the idea is just to like, so this stuff, like, it's like annoying, right? It's like people will like try to challenge you on basics. I'm like, what the fuck? Who doesn't know? So, so yeah, so I think that's it. Like, you may hear some stuff that's so annoying. Like, people will say, well, because there are two things going on. Not only they challenge maybe it's a challenge to you, to the person, like the person who is being, like, you could be the incumbent and being challenged, right? The incumbent sometimes is being challenged. Like, can you defend like another term, or can you defend another, can you defend, the next, can you defend it, right? So you may be the incumbent, you may be like the favorite, you may be all this stuff, but can you defend it? Like, is it any easier for you because like the presumption's in your favor? Like, it's, maybe not, but like, with seniority, nobody wants to, like I said, nobody wants to reinvent the wheel over and over again. Nobody wants to have to like start and go over and over again. Like, all the shit I did in the beginning, why do I gotta keep doing this shit over and over again? It's like, what the fuck? Just don't stop introducing new people to the circle. This shit is just annoying as fuck. But like, so I mean, it depends, random people, not people, whom I would accept, whatever. But like, so that's the idea, right? So it's dual purpose, like challenging the incumbent to say, assume the incumbent to challenging the person on this, and then the other person was like, maybe they're incumbent, maybe they're challenging another jurisdiction or on other grounds or whatever. I'm not really sure. But nobody's like maybe the incumbent focus. But let's just say that like for whatever reason they're using that person's name, whatever. It may be innocuous, right? Really not even significant. But I guess the interest is then is like to like whoever is like in that like circle, whatever, try to make money or try to come up or whatever for whatever reason, right? So people put a lot of like money in that because that one person, like, they're able to like help the whatever the beta or help the whatever the person, I don't know, whatever the person, but whoever is like their favorite, whatever, if they're able to like get something, they're trying to like knock off the highest up or the alpha or whatever, or the person who's like going being challenged and stuff, and they're trying to come up on that person's back, and like they want to win big, so they're gonna lay it on thick to make it stick and all this type of stuff. Even though a lot of times everybody knows like the person who's being challenged can defend. They already know it. They're just trying to act like, oh, well, we're doing some job about challenging. It's like, there's no reason that you're challenged. Everybody already knows. It's evident. It's obvious. But like, people, whatever. So then the other people over here or whatever trying to like, I don't know, they came from somewhere. I'm not really sure, Idaho. I don't really know. But like, so they trying to like come up or whatever, or make a claim for name for themselves or claim or whatever. Well, they showed up and they brought their whole paparazzi with them or whatever. I don't know. But like, that's the idea, right? So they're trying to knock the person who's like the original off of like the horrors, or knock them off, whatever pedestal, whatever, and they're trying to come up, right? So just because it's a whole lot of saying stuff, a whole lot of stuff, people like a lot of people like are playing with, they team up together, right? Because like, people will team up together, like, they're teaming up, try to, whatever, work against it, whatever. So they teaming up, try to prove their case by teaming up or whatever. Just because you hear a lot of like, because they're making a lot of noise doesn't mean it's more authentic or anything. Just because whatever, because like whatever, it doesn't really mean, it doesn't count for much. That 1% of the population could be worth $1 billion, for $1 billion. Oh, I'm sorry, that's a low number, but 99% of all, I'm sure that's like, I don't know, gazillions. I don't really know. What is gazillion even a number? I don't really know. Cause I say some stuff, they're like, oh, she's smart. Because I'll say something, and people are like, oh, she's stupid. I don't really know. Cause I'll say some stuff, and people are like, oh, no. But like, anyway, but like, so however much, like, whatever, trillions. I know that's a real number. Billions and millions, billions, trillions, whatever. But like, so 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 if like, even though it's like 99% of people like they make a lot of noise, but like if they only have like $30,000 and like the 1% who's rooting for the person and they're not like saying anything, they're silent or whatever, but this person or whatever, this 1%, maybe it's 100 people or whatever, it's like nine. Let's say the other people over here represent like 6 point, I don't know, 6.9 billion. 6.9 billion, but they're only worth $30,000, and this one person over here is like worth whatever. What is it? 1 billion? I'm not really sure, but like so. Because if it's 6 billion would be 1 billion. So 6 billion and 1 billion makes sense. But like 6.9 billion would be more. So see, that's 6 billion, 900. So 100 million? I don't know. Let's make it easy. 6 billion. No, I mean, they're worth. That's not even the math. Sorry. I'm sorry. The 6.9 billion only worth 30,000. But whatever. The remaining. The remaining. The remaining, I should be able to, I don't know what I'm doing this. It's like, I want to say it's like 0.1 million, whatever. So like, I think that's right. But like, worth, let's just say 100,000 people, whatever. Let's say 100,000 people, whatever. Because it sounds like a big number. So what is 0.1? It was 1% of a billion, or whatever. I'm not really sure. 1% of like, it's like 1 billion. 100 million, 10 billion, maybe, whatever. Okay, so you get the idea, right? So, because 1% of 1 billion, I think, would be 100 billion. 10% of 1 billion would be 100 million, and I think 1% of 1 billion would be 10 million. I'm not really sure. I have to think of it, but so anyway, the idea is that but that sounds like a lot of people. Let's just make the math easy. Let's say if it's 9 people over here and they're worth 1 cent. It's like, but this one person over here is worth $1 billion, but they're silent, like silent investors, silent whatever. Like, just because these people are making a lot of noise, I'm not saying making a lot of noise doesn't have some value or whatever. Maybe this person is saying something, but they're not saying it in the way that people are saying it. Just because you hear these people doesn't mean it's like in what forum or what grounds, right? Because they're saying something maybe in a public forum, but this person may be also saying things in this forum is also applicable, right? And it's also compelling and everything. Not just money, it's also like saying something, but people don't know because like everybody doesn't know, but the people who know, who need to know that it means like just because these people like this person it doesn't mean like doesn't mean anything in terms of the grand scheme of things. In terms of like what I'm saying, right? This is a plausible argument I need at this point. So that means they're not. And I'm not saying this, a lot of times this is actually the truth, right? A lot of times this is actually the truth. I'm not saying like protests and advocacy and like marches and all that stuff. I'm not saying all those things are not good and not important. That's not what I'm saying. And it's not about black or white in that regard. It's not like what is wealth. I'm just saying whatever. It's a lot of people and stuff. It like they're joint. They don't have they don't have much. Like I mean, they have themselves and like whatever. But like just because it's a lot of people doesn't mean it's more valuable than a person than one person, or more valuable than a person who's not as vocal in the same way these people are vocal, right? So that's the idea. So people think that this person must be more credible or must have won because they think that that's influence. They think because you're hearing their voice, you're hearing them all the time on the news all the time. They think that's what influence is and whatever. And so they must be better or they must have won. No, but you can have influence on stuff and it not be what you think, right? The influence may not be among the population, right? It might not be on the news, but it may be in it may be in like a really expensive magazine that no one really knows about the magazine, right? Or it may be in some, it may be in some particular place or location where people aren't most familiar, right? It's a lot of things that like matter for like how do you harness energy and all that type of stuff. And like a lot of people doesn't mean that's like it's a lot to explain, but like you can harness energy in a certain way and it can be direct and forceful and everything, but like it's because it's like it can be, dense versus, there's a lot of different things, right? So I think people can kind of get it wrong because just because you
because people can like, it depends. Are you listening to CNN? Are you listening to Fox News? Are you listening to Fox? Are you listening to Fox News versus Fox? Are you listening to MSNBC? Right? You know what I mean? It depends on people the news, who your news wire is, and all that type of stuff. You know, you get the idea. Like there's all that type of stuff, but then there's something that actually is true. Like, do you read the newspaper? Do you read the magazine? Do you watch the TV? Like all these people get all these different types of things, and if people listen to the whole thing, they think one thing, but it's like, you know, there's something else going on over here. Completing interest as well, and again, Pulp Fiction. But like, God is great and God is good. There's a way it works. Is the truth with capital T. I think that's what I'm gonna say. Just want to sum it up. Like, just because like if you can't punch holes in my accomplishments or whatever, just trying to like say somebody else is not going to change anything. Like, because you big somebody else up, it's not going to change anything about how I feel about myself. It's not going to, like, my accomplishments are always going to be there. My accomplishments are always going to have value. I'm always going to have value. I don't care what they say about anybody else. Like, it's like you can use them and say, oh, we're trying to like, and then they try to make an excuse. Oh, it's making you're making me better. Like, apply it to yourself. So you know what I mean. I am who I am. Using other people who may have accomplished certain things is not going to change who I am, not going to change my accomplishments, and I'm always going to be the best. And I'm always going to be the best. And it's enough people agree with me that it always be better. All right, so that I always like be considered the best. You know, but, okay, so bye.